Chapter 1522. Master. Sima Yue flew down from the sky without waiting for Chongming to land. When Feng Zhixing saw Sima Yue falling, he almost reached out to catch her. Master, you really came. Sima Yue looked at Feng Zhixing excitedly. Feng Zhixing still couldn't hold back. He reached out and touched her head, like a father doting on his daughter. For so many years, he had worked so hard just to be able to shelter her from the wind and rain when they met again. But from the information he received, the little guy's growth was much faster than his. Suddenly, a sharp gaze landed on his hand. Wu Lingyu landed beside Sima Yue. Master, I've finally met you. Previously, when I heard that I couldn't find your sect, I was depressed for quite a while. Sima Yue looked at Feng Zhixing and thought of the scene when they first met. Even if you can't find me, I'll look for you when this is over, Feng Zhixing said with a smile. He had long known that Sima Yue had come to the inner region. Initially, he had planned to meet her as soon as he came out of seclusion. However, as soon as he came out of seclusion, he encountered the incident at the ancient mining area. Young master she is. Someone interrupted the reunion between the master and disciple. She is my disciple Sima Yue. In the future, you will treat her with the courtesy of a young lady. Feng Zhixing spoke to that person, returning to his previous cold and detached appearance. Sima Yue blinked in disbelief when she saw Feng Zhixing's reaction. No matter if it was the him who had taught her in the Yilin continent or the him who had tried his best to protect her outside, he had always given her a warm feeling. Even if he was looking at her lovingly just now, it was the same. Since when did Master emit such a cold aura? What made him change? Young Master? The young master of the Integral Moon Palace? She had never heard him mention it before. If he went back now, those people would definitely not pay much attention to him. Then how much did he sacrifice to become the young master? Master. She looked at Feng Zhixing with some heartache. These are all my people. In the future, if you need anything, just order them around, Feng Zhixing said. Is this the young lady that young master mentioned to us before? A man in a white shirt came over and bowed to Sima Yue. Young master has been telling us to increase our strength, so that we can protect young mistress in the future. He didn't expect to meet Miss so soon. I am Feng Xiujie. Sima Yue felt that Feng Xiujie was very similar to Feng Kai. It was very comfortable to look at him. However, she didn't know how to address him. Calling him by his name wasn't a good idea. After all, he was her master's follower. After thinking for a while, she gave him a slight bow. Yue, I still have some things to do right now. I'll introduce them to you later, Feng Zhixing said. There were still many people in front of them who were eyeing them covetously. Although they were not facing the Integral Moon Palace, the current situation was not suitable for a long time to reminisce about the past. Sima Yue turned her gaze to the two people on the battlefield. One of them had white hair and was dressed in black. He was older and had slightly higher strength. The other person was dressed in a blue robe. Although he was suppressed, he didn't seem to be in a particularly difficult situation. Moreover, that face even looked a little familiar. It seems that I don't know anyone in the inner region, right? It's probably because this person's face is too common. Well, such a good-looking face was actually called a common face. If I knew, I would vomit a mouthful of blood. Master, who are these two people? The man in black is an elder of the Yang family in the 16th region, and the man in blue is the young master of the Su family in the 19th region. Although Feng Zhixing wasn't in the inner region for a while, he still knew these people. Sima Yue's head heated up, and she blurted out. He can't be Su Yu, right? It's him. Do you know him? Feng Zhixing asked. I don't know him. Sima Yue smiled. Now she knew why he looked a little familiar. This person was 50% similar to Su Lunyan. Thinking of what Su Lunyan said about matchmaking the two of them, she didn't know whether to laugh or cry when she looked at Su Yu. Su Lunyan said that he would also come to the ancient mining area. She didn't expect to really meet him here. The Su family's strength is obviously not comparable to the Yang family. Su Yu has been forced a little too much. He's about to lose, Feng Zhixing commented. Sima Yue also saw that Su Yu had been injured by the man in black. She thought of what Su Lunyan said about helping to take care of her nephew if they met. Now that she saw him injured, she couldn't just ignore it. Well, although she didn't have the strength to care. Moreover, the other party was the Yang family, a family that she didn't like very much. A family that could cultivate undead. Master, can your people beat that man in black? She asked Feng Zhixing softly. You want to save Suyu? Sima Yue nodded. Didn't you not know him? He's Auntie's nephew. Before coming here, Auntie mentioned him and said that if we meet, we should help to take care of him. Sima Yue said. But with my strength, how would I dare to go up? You have a good relationship? Auntie is a good person. Sima Yue smiled embarrassedly. Feng Zhixing looked at her. She wanted to save him, but she wasn't strong enough. She could only beg others. No, he believed that she had the ability to save him. It was just that she couldn't expose herself now. He didn't want her to expose herself too early. Sima Yue was a little worried. That man in black looked very powerful. Could Master's people do it? Since it's someone you want to save then. Before Feng Zhixing finished speaking, he disappeared from where he was and reappeared beside Suyu. He caught the seriously injured Suyu and took the attack of the man in black. Sima Yue looked at Feng Zhixing, her heart filled with astonishment. When did Master's strength become so powerful? Could it be that he used some bad method to increase his strength in the years that she wasn't around? In a while, she had to take a good look at Master, and not leave any hidden dangers. Feng Xiujie looked at Sima Yue's frown and guessed what she was thinking. He was immediately amused. Was young Master the kind of person who needed to use improper methods to increase his strength? Miss, you don't have to worry. Young Master, he is very strong. Feng Xiujie reminded her a little. But at that time, Master's strength wasn't so strong. It was a lot weaker. Sima Yue said. Before she recovered her memories, she felt that Feng Zhixing was very powerful. But later on, when she recovered her strength, she naturally knew what level Feng Zhixing's strength was at that time. Compared to now, it was not just 1 or 2 levels lower. Young Master left sadly before and sealed the spiritual power in his body. Feng Xiujie said. How weak can a person who can stand shoulder to shoulder with your father be? In fact, it wasn't Sima Yue's fault that she didn't know. After finding Sima Luxian, he no longer had any spiritual power. Everyone said how powerful they were at that time. But no one told her exactly how powerful they were. Didn't they say that Suyu was also a person who stood shoulder to shoulder with father? But it's still a lot worse. She whispered, but it was heard by Feng Zhixing and Suyu who came back. Chapter 1523. Suyu was a genius who was as famous as his father and the others. That was what Yin Lang had said at that time. Out of every 2 people who read romance novels, one of them had registered an account on the Kule Xiaoshua website. So she believed him. But he didn't expect the gap to be so big. Feng Xiujie's smile deepened when he saw Sima Yue's troubled expression. Young Master Su was indeed mentioned along with Young Master and the others, but they were talking about his talent. No matter what, he's still so much younger than Young Master and the others. Not everyone is as monstrous as you, he added in his heart. Sima Yue accepted this explanation. Anyway, it was useless to dwell on these things. However, he was still a little conflicted about his master's strength. Feng Zhixing did not bring Suyu back to the Su family. Instead, he brought him to the Integral Moon Palace. Suyu heard Sima Yue's muttering. Seeing that she was so young, he didn't want to argue with a junior. Besides, it wasn't the right time to talk about other things. Master, are you all right? Sima Yue still didn't believe in Feng Zhixing's strength. That little bit of strength can't hurt me. Feng Zhixing looked at the worry in his disciple's eyes and felt sweet in his heart. His disciple was indeed more considerate than these people, especially when it was her child. The resemblance between their eyebrows was growing. Feng Zhixing, what do you mean? Didn't you say that you wouldn't interfere with our matters? What are you doing now? Since the Yang family's people were injured, the Yang family naturally wouldn't give them any face. Sima Yue looked at those people. She had seen some of them when she first entered the grassland, but some of them were new to her. Moreover, the few people in charge of the Yang family were not present. Something fishy was going on. Feng Zhixing didn't feel guilty about going back on his words when facing the Yang family's accusations. He looked at them and said, I didn't want to meddle in your affairs before, but my precious disciple said that she would save the Su family's young master. Naturally, we have to take care of this matter. Suyu was a little surprised. Was it this little girl who saved him? So, Integral Moon Palace is going to go back on their word? When has the Integral Moon Palace ever kept its word? Feng Zhixing scoffed at this accusation. Everything was so natural. Sima Yue pursed her lips. When did Master become so shameless? If she wasn't sure that the person in front of her was Feng Zhixing, she would have suspected that she had mistaken him for someone else. Perhaps this was Master's nature. How could a genius like him not have a trace of arrogance in him? The him in the Yilan continent was probably depressed. It was all because of Mother. Feng Xiujie had been observing Sima Yue and saw the heartache in her eyes. He thought that his young master's efforts all these years were not in vain. Back then, young master left the inner region because of Yu Keluo and no longer managed the sex affairs. Later on, he returned because of Yu Keluo's daughter. To his former subordinates, it was not that they were not surprised. However, facing the current young master, it was much better than the depressed young master from before. The young master's efforts after coming back this time made them feel distressed. Fortunately, Sima Yue really cared about him and was worthy of his efforts. Sima Yue and Feng Xiujie had different thoughts, and Suyu's heart was not calm at this time. Feng Zhixing was obviously just watching the battle with the mentality of watching a show. He didn't expect that it would change because of his disciple. It seemed that this disciple was quite important in his heart. However, he didn't know her, so why would she help him? Or was she also after that thing? The Yang family was directly choked by Feng Zhixing, and each of their faces was so heavy that water could drip out. However, they couldn't do anything about it. The other forces watching from the side looked at Suyu differently. The Su family, among the hidden families and the families in front of them, usually wouldn't be provoked, but once it involved interests, it was not impossible to touch them. However, the Integral Moon Palace was different. No one could say for sure the power behind it, and no one dared to provoke it casually. Didn't Feng Zhixing bring Suyu to the Integral Moon Palace to protect him? This was no longer the extent of meddling in matters. Young Master Feng, are you sure you want to be enemies with everyone because of this? Someone tried to provoke the Integral Moon Palace to be hostile to all forces. I just saved a person, and I didn't say I wanted to snatch that thing. If you want it, do as you wish. Feng Zhixing said, and then solemnly added, this time I really mean what I say. Although he said so, no one else dared to make a move. Sima Yue blinked curiously and subconsciously looked at Wu Lingyu. Do you know anything? Wu Lingyu shook his head. He came with her, so how could he know what had happened before? Sima Yue sighed. The bees arrived too late. They only saw the battle, but didn't know what had happened before. The Su family found an ancient spirit beast that had already come out of the ore, but it was discovered by the Yang family. They insisted that the ancient spirit beast was discovered by them first. Feng Xiujie's voice came and explained the cause of the matter. At the same time, he also let her know why there were so many people here to watch. If the Yang family and the Su family quarreled, no one knew the final result. Maybe they could pick up some leftovers or something. Sima Yue looked towards the Su family and saw a small spirit beast curled up on the ground. It was obviously frightened. Such a small spirit beast was a bit like a newborn. As long as they took it back, they would definitely be able to cultivate it in the future. No wonder those people were all here to snatch it. Sima Yue curled her lips. They were like this for an ancient spirit beast. If they knew about the pile of treasures in the spirit pagoda, what kind of expression would these people have? Thinking that Feng Zhixing had intervened because of her words, she was very happy in her heart and the corners of her mouth rose slightly. A sour smell came from beside her. Sima Yue turned her head and looked at Wu Lingyu's gloomy face. She smiled and grabbed his hand. How could Master's love and his feelings for her be the same? What a stingy man. Seeing her playful eyes, Wu Lingyu reached out and pinched her nose. Feng Zhixing saw the interaction between the two and thought, a grown girl can't be kept at home. However, before he found Keluo, that fellow wouldn't marry Yue off. Hearing Feng Zhixing's sigh, Sima Yue asked curiously, Master, Aren't you tempted by that spirit beast? Previously, I thought that it was quite cute and silly, so I wanted to snatch it and give it to you as a gift. Since you said that you wanted to help this fellow, and you didn't like that little fellow that much, why should I participate? Feng Zhixing said lightly. Those who were here to watch were 100% tempted by that spirit beast. However, she didn't expect that Master would participate because he wanted to give it to her as a pet. Feng Zhixing looked at Sima Yue dotingly. When he came back, he wanted to settle down in advance so that when she came to the inner region, she would have someone to rely on. Now he had completed a small part of it. Chapter 1524. Although the Integral Moon Palace had no intention of snatching the ancient spirit beast, they were still involved in this matter. If the Su family refused to give up the ancient spirit beast, they would most likely clash with these people. Of course, if the Integral Moon Palace was strong enough, those people would have to think twice. Young Master. The people of the Su family recognized the situation, and quickly ran over with the ancient spirit beast in their arms. Seeing the ancient spirit beast, many people were moved, but they didn't know if they had the courage to face the Integral Moon Palace head-on. Today, the Su family will be protected by my Integral Moon Palace. If you want to experience the strength of my Integral Moon Palace, you are welcome. Feng Zhixing glanced at those people and turned to leave with his people. Feng Zhixing, don't be too arrogant. Some people were still overwhelmed by greed and attacked Feng Zhixing and the others. Feng Xiujia's figure moved, accompanied by the sound of a sharp blade entering the body, and the sound of the body falling heavily to the ground. More than a dozen people were killed by the people of the Integral Moon Palace in an instant, and none of them had an intact corpse. They had always known that the Integral Moon Palace was very mysterious, but they had never seen it before. Today, they had learned something new. With more experience, one's courage would naturally weaken. Yue, let's go. Feng Zhixing didn't care about the reactions of those people, as if he didn't see the cruelty of his subordinates, and said to Sima Yue with a smile. Okay. Sima Yue had seen dead people before. This kind of scene was scary for others, but she felt very warm. Master was doing this for her. So you felt that the name Yue was a bit familiar. Did they really know each other? The group left, and this time, no one came to stop them. Soon, they left the group far behind. Suyu led the Su family to salute Feng Zhixing and said, "Thank you, young Master Feng, for saving us." Feng Zhixing glanced at him. "You should thank Yue. If she hadn't asked, I wouldn't have done it." Suyu saluted Sima Yue. "Thank you, Miss Yue. I will repay you for saving my life today." "No need. I was just asked to do it. Besides, it was my master who saved you." Sima Yue waved her hand. "Entrusted by someone?" Suyu didn't know who had entrusted her. "Before we came, we went to Cord City. Auntie he said that you would come here too. If we meet, we should take care of each other." Sima Yue's meaning was obvious. If it was not for Auntie he, she would not help. Auntie? At the mention of Aunt he from Xiuqing, Suyu immediately understood why the name Yue was so familiar. Back then, Auntie he had told him a few times that she was going to matchmake him and Sima Yue. However, he did not take it to heart. He did not expect to meet Sima Yue here. Sima Yue nodded and asked, "How long have you been here? Any gains?" "It's already been more than 5 months. Other than this ancient spirit beast, there are also some gains," Suyu said. "Do you know about the half-year period?" "I've heard about it, so we were planning to leave. I didn't expect to meet it before we left, which led to the subsequent events." Suyu said, "I'm afraid many people know about this. Be careful on your way back." Sima Yue said. It was obvious that she was asking him to leave. Suyu was not ignorant. Besides, it was not completely safe to be with them. Who knew when they would change their minds? Therefore, it was better to leave. If there is a need in the future, Suyu will definitely not hesitate. Goodbye. Suyu bowed to Feng Zhixing and Sima Yue and left with the Su family. "I thought you would bring him along," Feng Zhixing said. "I saved him for Auntie He's sake. If we let them follow, wouldn't it bring trouble to Master? Those people might come over to snatch it at any time." Sima Yue and the Su family were not very familiar with each other. In comparison, She was definitely more concerned about Feng Zhixing's safety. They could only walk the rest of the way by themselves. Feng Zhixing was very happy that Sima Yue was able to place him in front of her. The coldness on his body dissipated a lot. By the way, Master, how long have you been in here? It's only been 4 months. There's still more than a month before the half-year period. Feng Zhixing said. What about you? We're about the same. In that case, we arrived here around the same time. Why didn't we meet? Sima Yue muttered. How was it? Did you get anything? A little. In front of so many people, she did not say anything specific, but Feng Zhixing saw her happy expression and knew that she definitely had more than a little. Follow us from behind. It's getting more and more chaotic now, Feng Zhixing said. More and more chaotic? Yes. Up until now, many people had gained something. Those who did not gain anything naturally turned their attention to others. After all, it's easier to snatch than to find. Feng Zhixing sighed. Sima Yue understood. For example, it was like what the Su family had encountered before. Also, some people have been here for a long time. It's been more than half a year. Sima Yue's heart trembled. After half a year, they would start to be affected by the mining area. When they went crazy, it was naturally not safe here. Thinking of this, Feng Zhixing frowned. Why did the two of you come here? How did you take care of Yue? He was naturally blaming Wu Lingyu. If something happened to the few of them, what would they do? Sima Yue grabbed Wu Lingyu's hand and said with a smile. Lingyu is very powerful. Look, I'm fine. You're just protecting him. Feng Zhixing snorted when he saw how protective she was. He had been paying attention to Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu, so he naturally knew about it. Even the Sima family approved of it. What else could he say? Only if you have the ability. He snorted. Looking at Wu Lingyu, he wondered when he should test him. Wu Lingyu did not care about Feng Zhixing's gaze. He could even deal with the old man of the Sima family, so how could he deal with his master? Master, where are we going now? Sima Yue asked. I heard that there's a mining area up ahead. We can go take a look and join in the fun. Feng Zhixing said. Is it a very big mining area? Sima Yue was interested. Joining in the fun? She liked it the most. I heard that there are many ancient spirit beasts. The Su family came from that direction. Feng Zhixing said. Sima Yue's eyes lit up even more. She urged. Master, let's hurry over. Feng Zhixing brought her in the direction of the mining area. Sima Yue realized that this direction was completely opposite to the direction she had swept before. After rushing for a few days, Sima Yue asked Feng Zhixing some things. Feng Zhixing told her the good things. The people behind them were even more certain of Sima Yue's position in his heart. Chapter 1525. When she arrived at the mine, Sima Yue met some familiar people, such as the people from the Donglai family, Yang Shi's grandfather, Yang Wei, her father, Yang Gaoming, and her mother, Wei Xuezhu. No wonder he only saw the Yang family elders before and didn't see the patriarch. It turned out that they were all here. She looked around and did not see anyone from the Xianqiu clan. She did not know if they were here. Eastern Lai Li noticed Sima Yue the moment she appeared. When she saw that Sima Yue was still alive and well, her gaze darkened. Miss, it's Sima Yue and Enlei. Shuayer saw them and shouted. Why aren't they dead yet? It seems that I have underestimated her previously. Eastern Lai Li said faintly. She is quite capable to be able to remove the mark I planted on her. Not long after they separated, Eastern Lai Li wanted to use the imprint to track down the whereabouts of Sima Yue and the rest. Only then did she realize that the imprint on Enlei's body was gone. It must be Wu Lingyu's doing. His strength is higher, so what does Sima Yue's strength count for? No one believed that Sima Yue was the culprit. Eastern Lai Li saw her talking and laughing with Feng Zhixing and snorted. I didn't expect them to hook up with people from the Integral Moon Palace. She had seen Feng Zhixing, the young master of the Integral Moon Palace, several times before. He was a cold-hearted person. He didn't even look at a woman of her condition. It was said that he had once left the inner region because of the ghost race's princess, but for some unknown reason he had returned. She had never heard of him being with a woman, let alone talking and laughing with her. She wondered what kind of bewitching method Sima Yue had used to bewitch him. Doesn't Wu Lingyu like her a lot? How can he tolerate her seducing other men? Shuai followed Eastern Lily everywhere, so she naturally knew about Feng Zhixing. Seeing Sima Yue talking and laughing with him, she felt that it was an eyesore. That's what happened before. It has nothing to do with us. Eastern Lily wasn't in the mood to pay attention to Sima Yue now. She had to focus on the ore vein in front of her. Young Master Xianqiu. What did he say? Shuai asked. When Xianqiu was mentioned, her mood worsened. After knowing about the mineral vein here, she contacted Xianqiu and asked him to come over and enter together. However, Xianqiu wanted to reject her directly, saying that each of them had their own opportunities, and it was not good to snatch the opportunity from her. At that time, she wanted to curse him in her heart. What opportunity? He didn't want to come at all. Shuai looked at Eastern Lily's expression and guessed it. She said softly, maybe young Master Xianqiu also realized something. I thought that as more and more people came here, we could take care of each other. Eastern Lily put away her sadness and said, since that's the case, let's go in. Just now, he had seen Northern Du Hao leading the Northern Du family's people inside. If he continued to delay outside, he was afraid that they would be the first to arrive. Sima Yue thought that Eastern Lily would come over to provoke her. She didn't expect her to bring people into the mine. It seemed that there was still a certain difference between her and those brainless women. At least she could distinguish what was more important. Feng Zhixing glanced over there and asked faintly, do you know the people of the Yin clan? I know them. I'm not familiar with them. Sima Yue didn't want to say more. Anyway, Eastern Lily wouldn't do anything here. She doesn't seem to like you. Feng Zhixing said. Many women don't like someone as smart, cute, and beautiful as me. Sima Yue said confidently. Pft. Feng Xiujie and the others behind laughed. Young Master's disciple was really narcissistic. Feng Zhixing looked at her, and then looked at Wu Lingyu, who was too handsome. He nodded, indeed. Young Master, are we going in? Although Integral Moon Palace also had some gains, who would complain about having more treasures? Even Sima Yue, who had obtained so much, was also very interested in this mine. It's hard to say what the situation inside is like. Why don't we check out the situation inside first before making a decision? Feng Zhixing didn't get carried away by the mine and remained cautious. He also had a certain understanding of the ancient mine and knew that it was dangerous here. He didn't intend to take the risk. Master, why don't we let the bees check out the news? Sima Yue also agreed with Feng Zhixing's words and said, okay. Feng Zhixing knew about the scarlet bees, but his subordinates didn't necessarily know. Seeing her call out so many scarlet bees, they were still a little doubtful. Miss, can these bees really check out the news? Of course. I often ask them to help me check out the situation. I know that Master is here because the bees told me. Sima Yue said. These are the scarlet bees that you have been yearning for a long time. Feng Zhixing said. What? Everyone was stunned as they looked at the scarlet bees flying away. Thinking that she actually used the scarlet bees to check out the news, they suddenly felt that it was a waste of natural resources. Why you want the scarlet bees? Sima Yue asked. We heard that the scarlet bees have appeared recently, so we wanted to find some to produce honey. The scarlet bees' honey is indeed more effective than normal. Sima Yue took out dozens of bottles and stuffed them into their hands, saying, these are for you. When we go our separate ways later, I'll give you some more scarlet bees. Miss, how can this be? Feng Xiujie and the others hugged the jade bottles and looked at the scarlet bees' honey falling from the sky in disbelief. They knew that the secret clans had scarlet bees and that scarlet honey would occasionally flow out, but they had never seen so much scarlet honey. Sima Yue waved her hand carelessly and said, I have a lot of this stuff. I've accumulated a lot over the years. Time passed faster in the spirit pagoda, and the scarlet bees bred very quickly. Other than the scarlet queen bee, there were also many little queen bees that had evolved. These little queen bees would lay eggs when they had nothing to do, so the number of scarlet bees she had now was overflowing. If the spirit pagoda wasn't big enough, she would have to suppress the growth of the scarlet bees. With so many scarlet bees and so many different kinds of flowers in the spirit pagoda, the scarlet honey was piled up and she couldn't finish it. She was telling the truth, but Feng Xiujie and the others didn't think so. No matter how much she had, how much could she have? She must have given it to them. Since Yue is giving it to you, just accept it. Feng Zhixing didn't say anything courteous, knowing that some of his subordinates liked it very much. As soon as he spoke, they all put away their smiles and decided in their hearts to treat this generous young lady even better. After half a day, the scarlet bees sent back a message. After Sima Yue heard it, she looked at Feng Zhixing with a troubled expression. Master, I want to go in first. Sima Yue said. What's wrong? That. Sima Yue wanted to make up an excuse, but when she saw Feng Zhixing staring at her, she said embarrassedly, I have a friend who met with some trouble. It's fine if I didn't know, but since I know, I can't just ignore it. Chapter 1526. Sima Yue looked at Feng Zhixing's emotionless eyes and felt a little scared. You plan to go in by yourself? Feng Zhixing asked. They're up against the Hidden Clan. I don't want Master to stand up for me and offend the Hidden Clan. Also, that Northern Du clan is someone who takes revenge for the smallest grievance. If they hold a grudge against Master and Integral Moon Palace, I'll feel guilty. Sima Yue said honestly. Feng Zhixing stared at the top of her head. After a long time he sighed and said, You and your father are really alike. I'm my father's biological daughter. Of course we're alike. Sima Yue raised her head and blinked. Master wouldn't be angry, right? Are you close to that person? Feng Zhixing asked. It's all right. He's the first friend I made when I came to the inner regions. He still owes me a favor. If he dies like this, I'll suffer a huge loss. Sima Yue said. If you die for him, you'll suffer even more. Feng Zhixing reached out and poked her head. I knew you were good to Beigong Tang and the others. You haven't changed your personality yet. I don't think I can change it. Sima Yue rubbed her nose. I'm not expecting you to change it. If you change it, you won't be you anymore. Let's go. Feng Zhixing snorted. Master, you don't have to go. Ling Yu and I can go. Sima Yue didn't want the Northern Du clan to target Master. They won't recognize you if you go. Wu Lingyu and I will disguise ourselves. Sima Yue said. No one will recognize us. That won't do. Feng Zhixing was worried. You have to stay by my side. How about this, you guys stay far away. If we can't handle it, you guys can come out. Sima Yue looked at him anxiously. Feng Zhixing knew that she didn't want to bring trouble to him. Although it would be a little troublesome to deal with the Yin clan, it wasn't like he didn't dare to provoke them. However, seeing her pleading eyes, he still agreed to her idea. He was happy to be protected by her. Sima Yue called out Thousand Resonance. After fusing, she casually changed her appearance. Wu Lingyu also changed her appearance. Even their auras had changed. If they weren't in front of Feng Zhixing and the others, they wouldn't have believed that they were the same person. Master, I'll leave and lay in your care. Sima Yue said. All right. The group of them entered the cave one after another. This cave was different from the one in Sima Yue. There were basically no forks in the path there. However, in this mine there were forks not long after they entered. Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu chose a path according to the direction of the scarlet bees. Feng Zhixing and the others also chose that path. Not long after, they reached another fork. If it wasn't for the scarlet bees' guidance, it wouldn't be easy to find Yin Lang and the others. Because they were worried about Yin Lang and the others, Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu's speed was a little fast. Feng Zhixing and the others had to follow closely to not lose sight of them. Luckily, there weren't many forks in the path inside. They slowly widened the distance between them. With Wu Lingyu around, their auras were almost completely covered. Those who approached them didn't notice them at all. Yin Lang, let's see how long you can last. Northern Duhao's voice was still arrogant, as if he had a deep hatred for Yin Lang. Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu looked at each other. It seemed like this wasn't just a battle of interests. Wu Lingyu pouted at Sima Yue and raised his eyebrows. Asking him to save his love rival, he felt that he was becoming more and more broad-minded. Sima Yue understood his meaning. She asked with her eyes. Don't you want to torture him mentally after saving him? Northern Du Hao, I didn't expect you to give up on the ore and use it to set a trap for me. You're still the same as before. Yin Lang's voice was a little weak. It was obvious that he was having a hard time holding on. The Du family and the Yin family were in a spacious cave. There was no path in front of them. The Yin family was trapped here. As for Sima Yu and the others, they were in the tunnel. The tunnel was full of twists and turns. Although they were close, they couldn't see what was happening inside. Sima Yu was a little worried about Yin Lang's situation, but she couldn't get too close. When she heard Yin Lang's voice, she was a little anxious. Although he was pestering her before, he was still the first friend she made after coming to the inner region. Other than her family, she had a good relationship with him. The other party's strength wasn't low. They couldn't use their divine senses to investigate. It wouldn't be good if they alerted the other party. However, she didn't know the situation inside. She also didn't know how many people there were in the Northern Du family. She couldn't make the next decision. Wu Lingyu grabbed her hand. The strength in his palm calmed her anxious heart. She smiled at him, indicating that she was fine. Wu Lingyu shook his head helplessly. With a wave of his hand, the scene inside the cave appeared on the stone wall. Sima Yu stared at the wall with her eyes wide open. She wondered how this guy did it. Although there was only an image on the wall, she could see the situation inside clearly with the sound coming from inside. The cave inside was very similar to the cave she cleaned before. However, there were no stone statues inside. Instead, there were people from the Northern Du family and the Yin family. Yin Lang seemed to have used a trapping array to protect the Yin family. However, this also trapped them and made them unable to leave. Hundreds of people from the Northern Du family surrounded them outside. They had no chance of escaping. As for that defensive array, it was already on the verge of collapse. What do you plan to do? Wu Lingyu looked at her. Sima Yu felt his voice appear in her head. Use poison. Sima Yu said these two words silently. Wu Lingyu raised his eyebrows. These people weren't weak. It wouldn't be easy to poison them. Sima Yu saw the suspicion in his eyes. She smiled confidently and moved her lips. Watch. She first sent a message to Hua Hua, who was with Feng Zhixing and the others. She asked Feng Zhixing and the others to leave. Then, she brought Wu Lingyu into the spirit pagoda. Feng Zhixing was worried about Sima Yu's safety. However, he was dragged away by Hua Hua. If Yeye says there's no problem, then there's definitely no problem. If you stay, you'll definitely ruin things. Hua Hua said as she dragged him away. The branch in her other hand was swaying. Feng Zhixing was very worried. However, Hua Hua was her contracted beast. He couldn't force it and could only be dragged away by her. Since he left, Feng Xiujie and the others naturally left as well. In the spirit pagoda, Sima Yu knew that Feng Zhixing had been dragged away by Hua Hua. She was relieved to proceed with the next step. What do you plan to do? He doesn't have much time left. Wu Lingyu's tone was sour. Sima Yu placed her hands on Wu Lingyu's face and pinched it. Watch me. She took out an old book. This was the book she had obtained from Shi Qianji's master. As long as the medicinal ingredients were gathered, there was some poison in it. It could even poison Wu Lingyu for a few breaths, let alone those people. However, she had never refined it before. She needed some time. Anyway, the spirit pagoda didn't lack medicinal ingredients and time. Chapter 1527. By the time Sima Yu finished researching the poison, half a day had passed. She and Wu Lingyu went outside and placed the poison at the entrance of the tunnel. Then they used a gust of wind to blow the poison inside. The people in the cave sensed that something was wrong. Someone immediately ran to the entrance of the tunnel to take a look, but no one appeared. Young master, there's no one. Are you sure? Northern Du Hao had clearly felt the fluctuations of spiritual power, so how could there be no one? Our speed was very fast. We really didn't see anyone. The guard said. Go and stand guard outside. Northern Du Hao was still worried and ordered. Several people left the cave and walked for a long time without seeing anyone. They all felt that Northern Du Hao was being too careful. Disappointment flashed through the Yin family's eyes. They thought that someone had come to save them. Northern Du grasped their emotional fluctuations and smiled. What's wrong? Are you still thinking that someone will come and save you? Northern Du, you won't succeed. In Susu looked at his sinister eyes. In Susu, I'll come back for you after I've dealt with your uncle. Such a beautiful woman. It would be good to bring her back to be my furnace. Bah. Even if I die, I will become your cauldron. In Susu made a decision in her heart. If they were really breached before reinforcements arrived, she would rather self-destruct than fall into this guy's hands. Cauldron? In the spirit pagoda, Sima Yue heard their conversation and frowned slightly. Not all hidden clans are righteous, Wu Lingyu said. It's just that they don't show themselves for some reason, Wu Lingyu said. No wonder the Northern Du clan's strength is higher than the other clans. It turns out that they use such an evil method. Sima Yue rubbed her arms as goosebumps appeared on her skin. This Northern Du clan's reputation in the hidden families is indeed not good. Wu Lingyu had not paid much attention to the Northern Du clan in the past. Even if he knew something, he did not take it to heart. As a woman, this kind of scum should be crippled directly. Sima Yue snorted. Unfortunately, I won't have the chance to do so today. You're not going to deal with them? Wu Lingyu asked, amused. It's impossible to get rid of them without exposing our identities, Sima Yue said. The poison won't last for long. You won't look for me? Wu Lingyu was a little unhappy about being ignored by Sima Yue. Aren't you by my side? Sima Yue glared at him. I don't want you to do things you don't like. She knew that Wu Lingyu didn't like men around her. If he owes me a favor, that's fine too, Wu Lingyu said. Sima Yue rolled her eyes at him and said, It's working. Inside the cave, everyone could feel the abnormality in their bodies. There was a feeling of not being able to exert any strength. What was going on? Bang! Bang! The people from the Northern Du clan fell one after another. Those who were stronger were still holding on. Although they didn't fall, they couldn't move. Sima Yue brought Wu Lingyu out. This time, they didn't need to hide their aura. Who's there? There were still people who noticed them at the first moment. Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu held hands as they walked out. They saw two complete strangers. Confusion flashed past the eyes of the people from the Northern Du clan and Yin clan. Who were these two people? Who are you? Sima Yue ignored the people from the Northern Du clan. She walked to the array and said, There's not much time left. Remove the array. Who are you? Yin Lang looked at Sima Yue. He felt that she recognized him from the way she looked at him. However, he didn't have any impression of her. Sima Yue took out a token and waved it around before keeping it and said, I can't escape for long. Yin Lang immediately recognized that the token belonged to Sima Yue. Could it be that Sima Yue sent someone to save him? To believe or not to believe? He glanced at Northern Du and made up his mind. He used his remaining strength to remove the array. Sima Yue went in and gave everyone the antidote. The antidote took effect as soon as it entered their mouths. Although they felt that their mouths were stinky, they felt strong again. Let's go. Yin Lang got up and helped Yin Susu up as he shouted at the people from the Yin clan. When they passed by Northern Du, Yin Lang hesitated for a moment. However, in the end his rationality won over his anger, and he left with his people. They had strength now, but they hadn't recovered their spirit energy. As the young master of the Northern Du clan, it was impossible for Northern Du to not have a way to save his life. If the effects of the antidote wore off while they were trying to kill him, it would attract more trouble. They might not even be able to escape. The others naturally knew this as well. They didn't dwell on it and left with hatred. If I were you, I wouldn't rashly use my spirit energy after the antidote wore off, Sima Yue kindly reminded them. Not long after they left, some of the people from the Northern Du clan moved. Following that, more people climbed up from the ground. Northern Du tried to use his spirit energy, but it wasn't that smooth. If he were to fight with others at this time, it wouldn't be good for him. Interesting. She actually poisoned us. Northern Du recalled Sima Yue's contemptuous gaze. In the past, it was always him who looked down on others. Since when did a woman dare to look down on him? Young master, are we still going to chase? Someone asked. No need. Everyone stay here and rest. Northern Duhao said. It's a pity that we didn't manage to kill Yin Lang even though we had such a good opportunity. However, if I can scheme against you once, I can scheme against you a second time. Yin Lang, do you really think that you can escape? After we get out, investigate those 2 people for me, especially that woman. Yes, young master. Sima Yu led the Yin clansmen out of the cave. She didn't know which path they turned into. Rest for a while. The people from the Northern Du clan shouldn't chase after us. Sima Yu said. Only then did the Yin family members relax and sit down to rest. Yin Lang looked at Sima Yu and said, What's your relationship with her? Why do you have her things? Sima Yu didn't waste any more words. She removed her fusion with 1,000 resonance and returned to her original appearance. Yue? Yin Lang looked at Sima Yu in shock. He didn't expect that the person who saved them was actually her, and him. Wu Lingyu also returned to her original appearance. Yin Lang said, As expected. When Yin Susu saw Sima Yu, she was stunned at first, then looked at Yin Lang. She remembered that the 2 of them were holding hands when they came in. Didn't that mean that this man and Yue? How did you know we were there? Yin Lang asked. The change of topic was a little stiff. I got the bees to investigate, and happened to know that you guys went up against the Northern Du clan. Sima Yu said. Thank you. If it wasn't for you guys, we probably wouldn't have been able to escape today. Yin Lang bowed to the 2 of them. How did you guys go up against the Northern Du clan? That Northern Du house seems to hate you a lot? Sima Yu asked curiously. Chapter 1528. Of course he hates me. I once ruined his good deed, and even let the world know of the Northern Du clan's despicable methods, ruining their reputation. Yin Lang shrugged, looking rather disdainful. He was not afraid of the Northern Du clan because he was previously trapped. Previously, when Yin Lang was running around, he encountered Northern Du house snatching a woman. He saved the woman, and found out about the Northern Du clan using women as human cauldrons. Although this matter was not widely publicized, it was still known by the other hidden families. The Northern Du clan's image, which was already bad, became even worse. Although they were stronger than the other hidden clans, they were still despised by them. As the instigator of this matter, Yin Lang was naturally held in a grudge. If it wasn't for the name and strength of the 49 prefectures, the Yin family would probably have been wiped out long ago. Normally, he was helpless against them. But now that he met them here, how could Northern Du Hao give up on this opportunity? However, it was ruined by Sima Yue in the end. Yue. When Feng Zhixing brought people over, the Yin family immediately became alert. They hadn't recovered their strength yet, so if they came with ill intentions, Sima Yue gestured for them to calm down. Then she walked to the entrance of the cave and called out, Master. When Feng Zhixing came in and saw that Sima Yue was not injured, he felt relieved. They've all been rescued. Yes. However, we don't have the time to kill them, Sima Yue said regretfully. When the Yin family heard this, the corners of their mouths couldn't help but twitch. Being able to save them from the hands of the Northern Du clan was already very amazing. Yet she was actually regretting that she didn't kill the people of the Northern Du clan? How dare those people use women as human cauldrons? Sima Yue despised such people. Leaving them alive was equivalent to harming women. It's good that you're okay. Feng Zhixing did not care much about Northern Du's family matters. He only cared about Sima Yue's safety. Master, let me introduce you. This is Yin Lang and this is Yin Susu. Sima Yue only knew the 2 of them. This is my master. Yin Lang saluted Feng Zhixing and said, I didn't expect that the young master of Integral Moon Palace would be Yue's master. Nice to meet you. Even if you don't stay in Tangerine City, don't pester my disciple. Feng Zhixing already knew that Yin Lang was following Sima Yue, so he warned him in an unfriendly tone. Yin Lang laughed. This fellow really looked like an old fellow who was protective of his children. Sima Yue didn't expect Feng Zhixing to be so direct, but she knew that her master had always known about her. Master, should we continue forward? She grabbed Feng Zhixing's arm and asked. Since we're already here, how can we not join in the fun? Feng Zhixing said. Maybe he could find some treasure, and give it to Sima Yue as a gift. He glanced at the Yin family. His meaning was obvious. Did he have to bring these guys along too? Sima Yue looked at Yin Susu and the others. They were all heavily injured by the Northern Du family. If they were left here, who knew if they would be destroyed by others? Yin Lang and the others knew that Integral Moon Palace wasn't a kind force and didn't want to force Sima Yue. He said, "We've already sent a request for help to the family. It's fine if they find us. We don't know when they'll come. You should come with us. We'll talk about it when they find you," Sima Yue said. "Little uncle, Yue is right. The family hasn't come for so long. We don't know if they've been held back by something. We're all injured. If we meet the enemy again, it'll be troublesome," Yin Susu said. Yin Lang hesitated. When Sima Yue said that, Feng Zhixing didn't raise any objections. He should also agree. "Then I'll have to trouble you." Yin Lang saluted her and Feng Zhixing. "Then let's go." Feng Zhixing's subordinates were secretly speechless. Master really spoiled Miss too much. One had to know that bringing the Yin family along made many things inconvenient. However, as long as it was Miss who brought it up, he never thought of objecting. Spoiling her so much, those who didn't know would think that he was her father. The scarlet bees had already burrowed into the cave. With their guidance, the group took fewer detours and walked directly to the place with the ores. On the way, Xiaojin displayed its ancient treasure detector and found the hidden ores in the walls from time to time. Sima Yue gave the ores to Feng Zhixing and said with a smile, "Master, this is your disciple's filial piety to you." Feng Zhixing looked at the ores and was even more convinced that she had a lot of gains. "Since it's your filial piety to your master, I'll accept it." He put the ores away and didn't think about whether there were treasures inside. The Yin family saw that she found the ores so easily and were envious. If they also had a good spirit beast like Xiaojin, they would definitely have a lot of gains. How would they be tricked by the Northern Du family? Sima Yue also gave some of the ores to the Yin family. Although it wasn't a fair distribution, everyone could still have a share. The Yin family felt embarrassed at first, but after seeing Xiaojin get a lot of ores, they didn't hold back anymore. If they really got something good when they went back, they would definitely come to thank her. Even if there wasn't anything good inside, they would definitely be on good terms with the Sima family. Unlike normal mines, the ores here weren't underground. When Sima Yue and the others reached the end, they could clearly feel that the road was going up. After exiting the last cave, they came to an open mining area. Because they got these ores on the way, when they reached the place with the most ores, it was already full of people. Donglai family, Northern Du family, Yang family, Xianqiu family that they didn't see before, and many other unknown forces were all gathered at the edge of the huge mining area. Around them, the towering mountain range isolated this place. It was as if they were in a bottomless abyss. In the center of the abyss, many stone statues stood there. They were of different sizes and shapes. When the surrounding people saw the ores inside, their eyes turned red. These animal-shaped ores were genuine ancient spirit beasts. If they could get them, wouldn't they have made a fortune this time? Looks like there's no advantage in being here first. Feng Xiujie saw that everyone was gathered outside and didn't go to fight for the ores inside, so he chuckled. There's a barrier around it, blocking people outside. Wu Lingyu saw the clue at a glance. I think they must have already tried, but they can't open this barrier. Sima Yue glanced at the mess around. It was obvious that it was caused by the rebound of power. At this moment, the forces gathered in twos and threes, as if they were planning to solve this problem together, and then divide the things inside. However, some people didn't have such troubles. Chapter 1529. When Eastern Lily saw the barrier, she didn't take it to heart. However, when she saw that everyone else's attacks were reflected, she started to take it seriously. Romance started soon after. She saw the Northern Du clan rushing over. They were clearly walking in front, so how did they end up behind them? In the beginning, Northern Du Hao didn't think much of this barrier. However, he soon realized that he was helpless against this barrier, just like Eastern Lily. When Eastern Lily saw that Northern Du Hao didn't succeed, her anxious heart finally calmed down. If Northern Du family could enter, then she would be worried to death. The people around her were discussing countermeasures. She and Isliha were also worried. It would be troublesome to break a barrier that couldn't be attacked. Suddenly, she heard the familiar sound of wheels. She looked up and saw Xianqiuhe coming in from another direction. Her eyes lit up. With Xianqiuhe around, was there a need to worry about not being able to enter? Crane, you're here too. She welcomed him with a smile. I didn't expect to come here from that place. Xianqiuhe used his divine sense to scan the area and understood the situation here. There's a barrier here, attacks will be reflected back. Eastern Lily said. Now everyone is blocked outside. As long as he could enter, the ores inside would belong to him. Crane, this is your family's chance. She said it very nicely, as if she was only happy for Xianqiuhe. The members of the Xianqiu clan were rather excited. The barrier was difficult for others to break, but for Xianqiuhe, entering was as easy as flipping his hand. So many ancient spiritual beasts. Xianqiuhe's smile did not deepen because of this. This is not a good thing either. Only he could enter, and there were so many ores inside. How could it not be a good thing? Being able to get it and escape is a good thing. Xianqiuhe said. There are so many people. Do you think they would be willing to just stand there and do nothing? If they join forces, even we won't be able to leave. If he couldn't leave, then no amount of ores would be of any use. Do I have to share it with these people? This is not something that can be appeased by just giving it to them. A person's greed cannot be underestimated. Xianqiuhe sighed. Sensing a familiar aura, he scanned the area with his divine perception and saw Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu. She was here too. He remembered that she could freely enter and exit those enchantments. What would she do? Would he go in? His attention was involuntarily drawn to that side. Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu talked about the situation here, and did not plan to go in immediately. When Xianqiuhe saw that she did not rush in, he heaved a sigh of relief. Lingyu, don't you think that the stone statues here are a little strange? Sima Yue looked at the stone statues and felt a little uneasy. It was as if they were all alive. The murderous aura on their bodies seemed to be even more intense. Even though they were wrapped in stone, she could still feel the chill. It does feel different from before. Wu Lingyu nodded. These things seem to be coming to life. There are so many of them here. If they really come to life, I wonder if these people will be able to withstand it? Sima Yu was a little worried. She was thinking about whether or not she should let Feng Zhixing and the others leave first. In any case, he had already gained quite a bit. She thought about it and decided to tell Feng Zhixing about it. Leave. There are so many ancient spirit beasts and ores here. How can we leave? Someone from the Integral Moon Palace was puzzled. Feng Zhixing was not that surprised. He looked at Sima Yue and asked, why do we have to leave? Sima Yue explained her feelings and said, I rarely feel this flustered. These ancient spirit beasts give me a very uncomfortable feeling. Feng Zhixing thought for a moment and instructed the people behind him. You guys leave according to the original path and wait outside. Young master? Feng Xiujie and the others were stunned. Seeing his face darken, they lowered their heads and replied, then we will go outside and wait for young master. These days with Sima Yue, Feng Zhixing was not as cold as usual. It made them forget how he was like before. As his subordinates, they should remember that they could not refute his words. Yin Lang hesitated for a moment and left with the Yin family. Not only Sima Yue, but he also felt that there was something strange about this place. With the ores that they had obtained in the cave, they had gained something this time. These ancient spirit beasts gave him a very cold feeling, as if he was close to hell. When he looked into the eyes of those spirit beasts, his heart seemed to be tightly netted by a large net. He could not stay here. In the end, he followed his intuition and did not intend to participate in this matter. After that, he was extremely grateful for his decision at that time. He was also grateful to Sima Yue for persuading him. Sima Yue saw that Feng Zhixing had called everyone away, leaving only the three of them. Sima Yue left Xiao Jin behind and called the other beasts back. Since they did not intend to fight, the three of them chose a relatively hidden position to observe the situation below. The place they chose was diagonally above the crowd. From here, They could see the situation below clearly. It was also close to the escape cave. If there was anything, they could leave immediately. The only bad thing was that it was far from the mine, which was not conducive to snatching the treasures. However, they did not intend to go down and fight for anything, so that position was just right. Wu Lingyu used a barrier to protect them. If anything happened, it would be easy to deal with it. Xiao Jin was a little impetuous before, but after the barrier, it became much quieter. Sima Yue hugged Xiao Jin and comforted it, asking, "Xiao Jin, are you very afraid of those fellows below? They are not like the old vermilion bird, but they still make me feel very uncomfortable," Xiao Jin said. "They are also very powerful." "Then can those people below withstand them?" Xiao Jin looked around and said, "These people are not even enough to fill the gaps between their teeth." Sima Yue was shocked. Those fellows below were so powerful? Yu, they are coming out. Xiao Jin rubbed against Sima Yu's palm, as if it was looking for a sense of security. Sima Yue looked at the stone statues below. None of them were coming out. She told Wu Lingyu and Feng Zhixing what Xiao Jin said. Both of their expressions were somewhat heavy. "I once heard a rumor." Wu Lingyu paused. "It is said that there were many spirit beasts left behind in the ancient times. They were not willing to be destroyed in the current era, so they sealed themselves. After a few years, they could come out again and dominate the world. I have also read about it in ancient books. The things in the ancient times were much more powerful than what we have now. If we really face them, I am afraid it will not be easy to deal with them." Feng Zhixing sighed. "It depends on their numbers." Wu Lingyu replied. Sima Yue was stunned. If what they said was true, didn't that mean that the continent would face more danger? Chapter 1530. Recommended reading. The strength of the immemorial era was much more powerful than that of the present. In the past, an imperial emperor had appeared, but now, it had been many years since an imperial emperor had appeared. From this, one could see the general situation. If there really were a lot of ancient spirit beasts coming out, given their belligerent nature, they would definitely go on a killing spree. However, these are all legends. They might not be true, Feng Zhixing said. "I can only hope that it's not true." Sima Yue sighed. "When the nest is overturned, no egg will remain unbroken. If this was true, they would be very powerful. When the safety of this continent was affected, she did not think that the Sima family could be removed from this. Let's take a look at the situation below. I wonder what will happen next," Wu Lingyu said. Boom. PFFF. Another attack was bounced back, and the person who was unwilling to admit defeat was sent flying again. Sima Yu looked at their sorry state and found it funny instead. Could it be that these guys really thought that this kind of enchantment could be broken with just 2 attacks? He didn't know who had set up this barrier, but the stronger the attack, the stronger the rebound force. To deal with such a situation, one could not use brute force. One could only find a way to break it. She turned her gaze toward Xian Qiuhe. She knew that he would definitely be able to pass through this barrier, but he did not move. "It's so dangerous here. Should I inform him?" However, even if she told him, he wouldn't be able to see it. He didn't know Wu Lingyu's secret voice transmission method. She shared her worries with Wu Lingyu. Wu Lingyu laughed and said, "You can learn. Anyway, it's not too far from here, so it's fine if we stay here." "Ah, can I do that too?" "It's not that difficult, as long as you get the hang of it," Wu Lingyu said. "Your spiritual power is strong enough to learn this." "Really? Then what should he do?" "Quick, teach me," Sima Yue said excitedly. Previously, when he saw Zhang Xian sending a telepathic message to him, he already felt that it was very impressive. He thought that he had to be very strong to be able to do so, but he didn't expect that he was already able to do so. "I'll teach you the incantation. Comprehend it yourself and use it on me." Wu Lingyu told her the incantation, then said, "Practice it yourself. When you can transmit it to me, you can transmit it to others." "All right." Sima Yue memorized the chant and went to the side to practice. When she felt that it was about time, she tried to send a message to Wu Lingyu. Telepathy was actually very simple, but it required a very strong spiritual power. This was because it mainly involved injecting one's spiritual power into the other party's brainwaves and letting the other party feel one's spiritual power. Ling Yu? Ling Yu? She called out twice, but Wu Lingyu did not respond. Could it be that he hadn't practiced well? She rubbed her chin. Since it wasn't done, then he wouldn't be able to hear what she was thinking. Idiot, can you hear me? She tried again, but Wu Lingyu still didn't respond. I really can't hear you. She stood behind Wu Lingyu. Wu Lingyu looked down at the situation below without any intention of turning his head. Idiot, don't get jealous for no reason in the future. Although sometimes I quite like it when you get jealous. You're the only one in my heart. I don't like other men. She continued. Sigh, you get jealous so easily. I don't know what you'll be like when we get married. When are we getting married? Wu Lingyu's voice rang in her head. Ah. Sima Yue didn't react for a moment. You're talking about getting married. When are we getting married? Wu Lingyu's voice rang out again. He turned around and looked at her with a smile. You were eavesdropping on me. Sima Yue realized that she had been tricked by him. This guy obviously heard what she said, but pretended not to hear it. I wasn't eavesdropping. I was listening openly. Wu Lingyu saw her embarrassed and angry look. He really wanted to go up and hug her. However, Feng Zhixing was glaring at him from the side. He thought about it and decided not to. It wasn't that he couldn't beat him, but if they really fought, Yue might not help him. Sima Yue ignored him. She went to the front and transmitted her voice to Feng Zhixing. Feng Zhixing responded very quickly this time. This meant that she had indeed mastered this. This guy was indeed teasing her just now. Thinking about how she had confessed just now, she was filled with anger. Alright, don't be angry. I'll listen to you in the future. I won't get jealous easily, okay? Wu Lingyu blinked his eyes pitifully. Sima Yue ignored him. She placed her spiritual energy on Xianqiuhe so that she could transmit her thoughts over. Xianqiuhe, can you hear me? Xianqiuhe suddenly heard Sima Yue's voice. His body stiffened slightly. Then he replied yes. Sima Yue heard Xianqiuhe's words and knew that she had contacted him. She said, Xianqiuhe, do you realize that these stone statues are a little strange? Strange? Yes, these stone statues give people a very dangerous feeling. Sima Yue said, we've already asked everyone to leave. Do you want us to leave too? Xianqiuhe asked. No. I'm just reminding you. I'm just reminding you that the mineral deposits here are a bit strange, so be careful. I understand. Thank you. Xianqiuhe said. It's the first time we're so far away. It really takes a lot of spiritual energy. Let's leave it at that. Anyway, you guys should be more careful. Otherwise, when the time comes... Sima Yue didn't finish her sentence. She couldn't take it anymore. Xianqiuhe looked in Sima Yue's direction. He was thinking about what she said just now. When they came in, he did notice that there were many people following behind Feng Zhixing. At this moment, those people were no longer there. Only the three of them were left to watch from afar. Was there a problem with the mineral resources here? Although he didn't realize it, he was very happy that she thought of him and reminded him. Sima Yue felt a little dizzy. It seemed that it still took a lot of spiritual energy. Wu Lingyu saw that her face was a little pale. His heart ached. He regretted letting him do this. That way, she wouldn't feel so uncomfortable. It was all Xianqiuhe's fault. If he wasn't here, why would Yue think of contacting him? Sima Yue ate the pill. Her face looked much better. Hearing the noise below, she asked, they're attacking the spirit barrier again? Yes. Aren't you afraid of getting hurt? What's there to be afraid of? Compared to obtaining so many ancient spirit beasts, this is a small matter. Wu Lingyu's lips curled into a mocking smile as he looked at Sima Yue. He secretly thought that the person he had set his eyes on could see things clearly. Sima Yue stood up and walked to the front. She stood together with Wu Lingyu and Feng Zhixing. Looking at the spirit barrier being attacked, she said, why do I feel that the more they attack, the stranger it feels inside? Those stone statues seem to be even more ferocious. Those who read Crazy Wife, Divine Dr. Fifth Miss also liked it. Chapter 1531. With her reminder, Wu Lingyu and Feng Zhixing also noticed the difference between the stone statues. Could it be that those stone statues are coming out? Feng Zhixing guessed. I think those stone statues are using the barrier to absorb energy, Sima Yue muttered. Feng Zhixing was not as sensitive as Sima Yue, but he could feel the difference in the stone statue. If they continue to attack, maybe these guys will run out. Wu Lingyu said. However, I'm afraid it's impossible for them to give up on the treasures in front of them. The three people present understood that it was impossible for these people to give up. Therefore, none of them thought of reminding these people, or doing something that would make them hate them. After half a day, some people also felt the strangeness of the stone statue inside. Young mistress, why do I feel that those stone statues are terrifying? Shui moved closer to Eastern Lai Li and rubbed her arms as she spoke. Eastern Lai Li also realized that something was amiss. However, she had already reached this stage. How could she care whether or not these stone statues were abnormal? Her position in the family had already been shaken. It was not easy for her to have such an opportunity to make a great contribution to the family and establish her position. She would not give it up no matter what. Xianqiu he also felt it. Thinking of what Sima Yue reminded him, he secretly found Xianqiu Ji and told him to tell everyone to be careful. If they found anything wrong, they should retreat immediately. Although Xianqiu Ji did not understand why, he knew that young master would not speak carelessly. He had his reasons for giving such orders, so he told the Xianqiu clan what he said. Northern Duhao stroked his chin and looked at the stone statues. He also instructed his family members to be careful. Those people still hadn't realized that their spirit energy was replenishing the spirit beast's strength, and were still attacking. Especially when they saw that the barrier was about to be broken, they were full of energy. Kacha! A piece of stone fell from the statue, revealing a bit of the fur of an ancient spiritual beast. Heavens! It really is an ancient spiritual beast. Everyone present was in an uproar. If it was just a guess before, then now it was 100% certain. Ancient spirit beasts were enough to drive everyone crazy. Those people were extremely excited, and the frequency of their attacks increased. Moreover, they had already learned how to immediately defend after attacking, so it didn't matter even if their spiritual energy bounced back. Kacha! Kacha! The more spiritual power there was, the more layers of stone would fall off from the stone statues. The more ancient spirit beasts there were, the more ruthless their attacks became. Finally, under the concerted efforts of everyone, the barrier was completely broken. Charge! Without the barrier, everyone ran towards the stone statue. They didn't care what the stone statue looked like and directly hugged it. However, those stone statues were abnormally stable, sitting on the ground and not moving at all. In order to not injure the ancient spirit beasts inside, these people did not dare to use brute force. They could only remove the stone layer on the ground, and then dig into the ground. A woo! A wild roar came from the stone statue, and the power shook the surrounding people away. Woo woo! Some spirit beasts echoed him. Soon after, beast roars could be heard from other places, echoing their voices. Not good. Sima Yue looked at the stone statue below and exclaimed. The first spirit beast that made the sound no longer had small pieces of stone on its body. Instead, it cracked open like a spider web. The spirit beast inside moved, and the stone layer fell off, revealing the entire spirit beast. It's the human-faced ape. Someone recognized the spirit beast and shouted. The human-faced ape, as the name implied, was like an ape covered in hair, but its face was similar to a human's. It howled towards the sky, and its body slowly became louder as it howled. Pa! With a wave of its hand, the people around it were all sent flying. Those people were not weak, but in front of the human-faced ape, they could not fight back at all. They could only watch as they were sent flying and hit the stone statues behind them. Kacha! Those stone statues had their stone layers broken. They moved their bodies, and another ancient spirit beast was born. Pa! Pooh! Before the people in front of it could see clearly, they were trampled to death by the spirit beast. Awoo! The human-faced ape continued to howl. As it howled, more and more ancient spirit beast stone layers fell off. A few dozens, hundreds of spirit beasts came out in a few minutes. Awoo! Woo woo! ong. All kinds of sounds intertwined in the mountain stream. The entire mountain stream seemed to be filled with the roars of spirit beasts. While howling, those spirit beasts did not forget to attack the people around them. Those who were weaker were killed in a few moves. Some even had their arms and legs bitten off by the spirit beasts, and entered the spirit beasts' stomachs in a few bites. It was a 100% suppression. The people in the mountain stream did not expect the situation to change completely in just a few minutes. In order to escape, they flew into the air, but they realized that there was something above them that prevented them from leaving through the air. Those spirit beasts are helping other spirit beasts out. Let's retreat. When Feng Zhixing saw those spirit beasts coming out and their powerful combat strength, he pulled Sima Yue and started running the way they came. They were close to the entrance of the cave, and the three of them were fast. When the others thought of escaping from the cave, they had already run half the way. They were fast, but the spirit beasts were faster. They caught up with them before they even reached the exit. Ah! A scream came from behind. Feeling the aura behind them, Feng Zhixing and Wu Lingyu did not even turn their heads to attack. They did not know whose attack hit the spirit beast, but it slowed down. However, it still chased after them relentlessly and attacked them from time to time. There were more and more spirit beasts chasing after them, which meant that more and more people were dying. Feng Zhixing used his spirit energy again, but this time he did not attack the spirit beasts but the tunnel. Boom! The stones that fell from above blocked the tunnel, but it was broken by the spirit beasts in a few breaths of time. The ancient spirit beast's combat strength is really strong. Sima Yue could feel the spirit beasts chasing after them relentlessly, and could not help but sigh. From the ancient times to the ancient times until now, their combat strength was not on the same level. Wu Lingyu said. Feng Zhixing glared at him. At this time, he still had the energy to talk. As more and more spirit beasts appeared behind them, attacking was useless. Wu Lingyu grabbed Sima Yue and Feng Zhixing, said hold on tight, and disappeared in front of the spirit beasts with them. When the spirit beasts saw their prey disappear in front of them, they were stunned for a moment. Then they became even more manic and chased forward. It was impossible for them to disappear in front of them. They must be in front. However, they did not see the three of them until they reached the outside of the mine. Chapter 1532. Sima Yue and the other two stood at the top of the mountain. Because of Wu Lingyu's enchantment, the spirit beasts below did not notice them. The massacre below is really tragic. Feng Zhixing didn't have any sympathy for the people and spirit beasts below. If you want to snatch the treasure, you have to pay with your life. Wu Lingyu said. We weren't the only ones who noticed that there was something wrong with those ancient spirit beasts. Others must have noticed it as well. If it weren't for my greed, I wouldn't have ended up like this. Similarly, there was no sympathy. Sima Yue pouted. There was nothing wrong with these people's choices. Who didn't like treasures? If it wasn't for the fact that she had already obtained so much, she would definitely have participated today. The birth of these ancient spiritual beasts will most likely cause another upheaval in the continent. She sighed. Hasn't the continent been in enough turmoil recently? Feng Zhixing had a hint of worry in his eyes. Recently, the continent had been too chaotic. The massacre caused by the Sky Splitter Devil Sword had yet to be completed. The mysterious black-robed man's power had stirred up the central region into a state of chaos. Then, there were the corpses that appeared later on. Now that the ancient spirit beasts had appeared, it was either the spirit beasts hunting humans or humans hunting the spirit beasts. In short, the current situation could only be described with one word: chaos. Will these spirit beasts go out and kill people? Sima Yue was a little worried. I can't say for sure. Feng Zhixing said. Right now there aren't many ancient spirit beasts that have come out. I think that even if they want to rule the continent, they don't have the strength right now. Perhaps it will stay dormant for a period of time, and search for more ancient spiritual beasts. Are you saying that there are other ancient mines? Sima Yue widened her eyes. There must be, but we don't know much about it now. Wu Lingyu couldn't help but pinch her nose when she saw her expression. Do these spirit beasts know? Sima Yue asked. I'm not one of those spirit beasts. How would I know if they know? Wu Lingyu said. I'm just speculating. I hope they can lay low and give the Sima family some time to breathe, Sima Yue said. The Sima family's current strength was nothing in the entire continent. By chance he had obtained his clan's inheritance and obtained a complete spiritual technique. However, he was still not good enough for his spirit beast. The spirit beasts were still slaughtering and howling. Some of the ores that were originally in the interspatial rings also reacted. Many of the interspatial rings directly shattered, and ancient spirit beasts appeared in the pile of treasures. Thinking of the ores in the spirit pagoda, and then looking at the sounds of the spirit beasts coming from everywhere, she was incomparably glad that she had placed them in the spirit pagoda, so that they would not be affected by this. She had so many spirit beasts. If all of them came out, it would probably be a disaster. Let's leave. Feng Zhixing himself did not have the confidence to face so many spirit beasts. He had already contacted the people of the Integral Moon Palace and left the mine after meeting them. Boom. The mountain at the side directly exploded from the inside. The human-faced ape and a few figures from before rushed out from the mountain. The huge impact of the battle caused Sima Yue, who was in the spirit barrier, to feel the majestic power that soared to the sky. She thought to herself that they were indeed the geniuses of the hidden clans. Xianqiuhe, Eastern Lai Li, and Northern Du Hao were in 3 different directions, surrounding the human-faced ape in the middle. At this moment, the 3 of them had a tacit understanding. They put down their previous grudges and settled the trouble in front of them first. However, even if the 3 of them joined forces, they were still not a match for the human-faced ape. After a few rounds, they were all beaten to the ground. Previously, they were barely able to fight to a draw. It was probably because they had the advantage of the terrain. Mi-air! Sima Yue shouted loudly. She turned Mi-air into a white chain and threw it out. It caught Xianqiuhe and prevented him from falling to the ground. However, Northern Du Hao and Eastern Lai Li were not so lucky. They directly fell to the ground from mid-air. Fortunately, they landed on the corpses on the ground and had spiritual energy to protect their bodies. Otherwise, they would probably have fallen to death. When Eastern Lai Li saw that Sima Yue only saved Xianqiuhe, anger flashed across her eyes. They were considered acquaintances. Why didn't she save her? When the human-faced ape saw that someone had interfered, it turned to face Sima Yue. When it saw her appearance, it was obviously stunned. No, it's not. It muttered and shook its head. Kill it. Eastern Lai Li supported herself with one hand on the ground. She looked at Sima Yue with a murderous gaze. This woman actually didn't save it. She really deserved to die. Sima Yue was a little confused by the human-faced ape's reaction. It looked at her as if it was looking at an acquaintance. Who are you? The human-faced ape stared at Sima Yue and asked. Sima Yue. Sima Yue replied. She looked at the human-faced ape. When it heard her name, its body obviously trembled. Sima Yue. Sima Yue. The human-faced ape took a step back. This reaction. Could it be that there was someone who looked like it and had the same name as it? You can leave. I won't kill you. The human-faced ape said. Take him and his clansmen away too. Sima Yue said. You're not her. Don't push your luck. The human-faced ape was a little annoyed that a little human dared to negotiate with it. Whether you agree or not, the result will be the same. Sima Yue said. If she wanted to take Xianqiuhe away, even it couldn't stop her. Whether you agree or not, the result will be the same. If you let him go today, I'll owe you a favor. Many years ago, it heard her say the same thing. At that time it gave her face. In the future, it would be very grateful for that decision. Although Sima Yue said it so confidently, if she really wanted to take the Xianqiu clansmen away, it would take a lot of effort. However, the human-faced ape was obviously distracted after hearing what she said. Just as she was thinking about what this spirit beast was thinking, it suddenly opened its mouth and said, All right, I'll give you face today. It was so easy to talk to. Just as she was surprised, the human-faced ape howled, and the spirit beasts surrounding the Xianqiu clan stopped. Seeing that Xianqiuhe was at the top of the mountain, Xianqiuji and the rest ran over. Those who are alive are all here. The human-faced ape said. Those who weren't here were all dead. Thank you. Sima Yue didn't say anything about returning the favor. She thought that if she could suppress it in the future, she would let it go. However, the other party was so strong. She thought about it and suppressed those words. Master, let's go. With the human-faced apes pass, they didn't have to worry about being attacked by these ancient spirit beasts. Miss Yue. Northern Duhao called out to Sima Yue. Save us too. Although Eastern Lily didn't say anything, she looked at Sima Yue with eyes full of hope. Sima Yue frowned and looked at the human-faced ape saying, Can I? No. The human-faced ape keenly felt that Sima Yue didn't want to save these people and rejected her directly. Sima Yue shrugged and said innocently, See, it's not that I don't want to save them. They don't want to give me face. If I save you, we won't be able to leave. Chapter 1533. Sima Yue's words almost made Northern Duhao and Eastern Lily vomit blood. He clearly didn't want to save them, but he pushed the responsibility onto the human-faced ape. Too shameless. If they could escape today, they would definitely take revenge on her for not saving them today. If Sima Yue knew what they were thinking, she would definitely vomit blood. It was her right to save them, not her duty. If she wanted to save someone, then she would. If she didn't want to save someone, then she wouldn't. One of them was someone who targeted him from time to time, while the other was someone who captured women to be his cauldron. He didn't like the two of them, so why should he make things difficult for the ancient spiritual beasts for them? For the other party to allow her to take away the people from the Xianqiu clan, she already did not know who he was giving face to. Let's go. She was too lazy to pay attention to these self-righteous people. Eastern Lily panicked when she saw that they were really leaving. She called out Xianqiu's name in a panic. Xianqiu, he was in a difficult position. After all, Donglai clan and Xianqiu clan were family friends. Sima Yue saw Xianqiu, he frowned and sighed, saying, Alone. She turned her gaze to the human-faced ape. Although she didn't speak, the other party already understood her meaning. 2 favors. The human-faced ape said. That meant that she owed him 2 favors. What's the use of owing you a favor? I'm so weak, and I don't have a good background. Sima Yue said. She's the young mistress of a hidden family and she has a good background. If the people of the hidden family find out that you let their young miss go, they will definitely repay you in the future. You've just come out, so it's not good for you to make everyone your enemy, right? If the hidden clan owes you a favor, then it's a good deal. The human-faced ape looked at Eastern Lily, and then looked at Sima Yue. Although she wasn't as strong as that person, her aura was exactly the same. He shook his head and said, No, I want yours. Sima Yue was speechless. Did this guy not know who should owe him a favor? Miss Yue, if you save me, my Donglai family will remember your kindness. Eastern Lily now understood that Sima Yue really didn't intend to save her. If she didn't speak nicely, her only chance would be gone. Then you have to remember that I saved you twice. I remember. Eastern Lily tried her best to make herself look more sincere. I owe you a favor, so I can't lose out. You owe me 2 favors in the future, Sima Yue said. I hope that I'm not Mr. Donghua. What? No one knew about Mr. Donghua, so they didn't understand what she was talking about. Nothing. Sima Yue shook her head. She looked at the human-faced ape and asked, What is your name? I can return the favor in the future. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior, remember my name. The human-faced ape said. His voice was not loud, but it spread throughout the entire mine, announcing to the world that he, Supreme Fifth Spirit Master, had appeared. Sima Yue saw his heroic look, and her heart trembled. She thought that this guy must have been a hero in the ancient times. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior, I'll remember it. Sima Yue said, Goodbye. She turned and left. The people from Xianqiu family left carefully. Eastern Lily got up from the ground and watched as Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior slowly retreated. After confirming that he wouldn't attack, she turned and chased after the people from Xianqiu family. As for the people from Eastern Lai family, she couldn't care less about them now. At most, when she returned, she would reward their families more. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior looked at Sima Yue's back view as she left. His gaze was filled with nostalgia and sorrow. If she hadn't been killed, he wouldn't have given up and sealed himself, allowing a long time to heal himself. He didn't expect to see someone who looked so similar to her the moment he came out. No, she was her. They were the same person. Could it be that he had waited for millions of years just to meet her again? Sima Yue suddenly felt something. She turned around and looked at him. The wind blew her long hair. That elegant long hair and misty eyes instantly made his eyes wet with tears. PFFF. Northern Duhao saw that Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior was in a daze and used a secret technique to escape. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior squinted his eyes. His hands floated behind his back. He didn't make a move. He just watched as the spirit beasts below treated humans as their first big meal after waking up. Sima Yue and the others left the mining area. They could still hear the battle and screams from afar. Master, should we go back directly after finding Uncle Feng and the others? Sima Yue asked. Yes, we've been here for almost half a year. I told them to retreat to the entrance where we came from. We'll leave from there. Feng Zhixing said. They left the mining area and passed through the grassland. They came to the forest where they came from before, and stopped to set up camp. The people from Integral Moon Palace rushed over to meet them. Knowing that the ancient spirit beasts had appeared, they didn't even dare to rest. They rushed through the night, afraid that the spirit beasts would change their minds and chase after them. Sima Yue believed that Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior wouldn't do such a thing. However, Eastern Lai Li had just escaped death. Without the protection of her clansmen, she was very afraid. She couldn't wait to leave immediately and kept urging them. If it wasn't for Xian Xiuhe, Sima Yue would have kicked her away long ago. We should leave as soon as possible. Eastern Lai Li said. Once we're out of the desert, those spirit beasts won't be able to chase after us. Yue and I still have some things to talk about. Moreover, everyone has been rushing for the past few days. They're all very tired. Xian Xiuhe still took care of Eastern Lai Li. The smile on his face was still there. However, Sima Yue felt that he had distanced himself from her. Lady Eastern Lai, just bear with it. We'll leave once we're done talking. Sima Yue rolled her eyes in her heart. She pushed Xian Xiuhe into her tent. Eastern Lai Li wanted to follow them. Sima Yue turned around and pulled the curtain of the tent. She smiled and said, I'm really sorry. I have some things to talk about with Xian Xiuhe. It's a secret. It's not convenient for you to come in. You can wait outside. After speaking, she pulled with both hands and isolated Eastern Lai Li outside. Wu Lingyu casually set up a barrier and sat on a chair with Feng Zhixing to wait for her. Yue, what's the matter? Xian Xiuhe asked. I want to ask you, do you know about rebirth from fire? Xian Xiuhe subconsciously frowned and said, You want that divine medicine? Yes. Sima Yue nodded. I need it very much. Feng Zhixing looked at Sima Yue in surprise. He didn't expect her to want to be reborn from fire. However, he vaguely guessed it. Sima Yue saw that Xian Xiuhe was in danger and felt a little uneasy. Their relationship wasn't particularly close. Although she saved his life this time, she didn't know which was more important in his heart. The divine medicine is indeed in the Xian Xiu clan. Xian Xiuhe seemed to have made a decision. What are you going to do with the divine medicine? Chapter 1534. Sima Yue knew that he would ask her this question, and did not intend to hide it from him. My father is injured. His foundation has been damaged and he can no longer cultivate. If I want to reconstruct her meridians, I need to be reborn from the ashes. The divine medicine is my clan's treasure. Even if it's me, I don't have absolute confidence in obtaining it. Xian Xiuhe said. In other words, this was not something he could decide. Then how can I obtain it? Xian Xiuhe frowned and said, I will try my best to help you fight for it, but I might not succeed. He did not make any requests to Sima Yue. Perhaps it was because she was just a small girl and did not have much to ask of the Yin family. He wasn't sure, but she had to get the divine medicine no matter what. Has the divine medicine matured? Wu Lingyu asked. Not yet. Xian Xiuhe said. There are still 5 years. 5 years should be enough. Sima Yue mumbled. What do you mean? I should be able to cure you in 5 years. Sima Yue said. What? Xianxiu he retracted his crossed hands and looked towards Sima Yue. Even if he could use his divine sense to know her position and what she was doing, he couldn't really see her appearance. In fact, he really wanted to know what a colorful world looked like. Therefore, he was not as desireless as he thought he was. When I examined you before, I said that I was only 50% confident. But if you give me another 5 years, I think I can at least raise it to 90%. Sima Yue said, whether or not you can help me get the divine medicine, I will treat your illness. If Xianxiu he couldn't get it by then, she could use this opportunity to enter the Xianxiu clan and think of a way to get the divine medicine. Xianxiu he was so smart, how could he not know what she was thinking? However, he didn't say anything. He only nodded and said, I will send someone to pick you up before the divine medicine ripens. All right. I think you should have a way to get out, right? Then we'll take our leave. Xianxiu he bowed towards Wu Lingyu and Feng Zhixing. When his divine sense landed on Wu Lingyu, it lingered for a while longer. He turned around and left. Wu Lingyu removed the barrier before he left. Very soon he heard him talking to Eastern Lai Li. I've already talked to them. We can go back now. I'll send you back to the Eastern Lai clan first, then I'll go back. Even if his impression of Eastern Lai Li was already bad, he would still be considerate enough to send her back, in case anything happened to her along the way. Xianxiu he brought the Xianxiu clan and left. Sima Yue and the rest rested at the edge of the forest for a night. The next morning, they packed their things and left. The method of the Integral Moon Palace was similar to that of the Xianxiu family. They also used a roundabout method to avoid dangerous places. They also encountered some attacks along the way. Fortunately, the strength of the people of the Integral Moon Palace was not bad. Those spirit beasts did not get any benefits. Instead, they were killed and made into delicious food by Sima Yue. Half a year later, they finally left the desert and came to the place where Sima Yue first set up camp. There were still many people guarding there, but Sima Yue did not find the Xi family there. They probably left long ago. Thinking about it, they went in for more than half a year, stayed in the mining area for more than half a year, and spent more than half a year coming out. Calculating the time, it had been nearly 2 years since she left. The Xi family was not interested in ancient spirit beasts. They definitely would not stay for such a long time. It was just that she did not know if they went back to Ghost City or wandered around other places. They spent more than a month on the spatial ship to Chu City. After arriving at Chu City, Feng Xiujie and the rest left with the harvest of this operation. Master, aren't you going back? Sima Yue asked. I am going to see your father. Feng Zhixing said. His gaze was a little sad as he looked into the distance. Once upon a time, they traveled the mainland together and were extremely carefree. Now, although he had never asked Sima Yue about his situation, when he heard her say that he was like a cripple, he felt that he should go and see him. Does Master want to go back with me? That's good. Although Father is back now, his mood has been very low. Master is Father's good friend. If you go and see him, he should be happier. Sima Yue smiled. I've been away from home for 2 years. I don't know how the family is now. Her heart was actually a little drumming. Father had never asked her about her master before. She did not know what it would be like when they met. It should be nothing, right? They went back directly from Chu City. As soon as they arrived at the family, the first person Sima Yue saw was not Sima Ji Yuan and the rest, nor her father, but the black-faced Siyu. Siyu, why are you here? The corners of her mouth twitched. She took a few steps back and looked up at the words on the courtyard. That's right, it was indeed the Sima family. It was also her courtyard. But why was this guy here? Because Feng Zhixing was with her. She brought him to her own courtyard to look for her father first before going to look for Sima Ji Yuan and the rest. She did not expect to see the black-faced Siyu as soon as she entered the courtyard, as well as Si Hui and Si Yi who were leisurely sipping tea behind. Siyu had her hands on her hips as she glared at Sima Yue and complained. Yue, how could you do this? You abandoned me and secretly ran off to the ancient mines by yourself. I know you were worried about me. But look, didn't I come back safe and sound? Sima Yue smiled as she held her arm. Who was worried about you? I'm angry. Do you know I'm angry? Siyu snorted coldly. If you're angry, Then I'll make you something nice to eat as an apology, okay? Sima Yue said. 1 month. You have to cook for me for a month to show some sincerity. Okay. Sima Yue smiled and replied. I'll definitely make you a lot of good food. So good that you'll vomit. But I have something to settle now. She turned back to look at Feng Zhixing, who was at the courtyard entrance, and said, Master, I'll bring you to look for my father. Your father isn't here. He went to look for your grandfather. But he'll definitely come back as soon as he knows that you're back. Siyu said. Then I'll bring Master to the living room first. Sima Yue brought Feng Zhixing to the living room. Soon, familiar footsteps could be heard from the courtyard. Yue, are you okay, you? Sima Luxian came in and saw Sima Yue standing there. She moved aside and Feng Zhixing was revealed, causing Sima Luxian to be stunned. Father, you're back. Master said that he wanted to see you. Sima Yue placed the teacup in Feng Zhixing's hands, then went forward to hold Sima Luxian and patted his arm. Chapter 1535. Sima Yue was worried that an old friend who she hadn't seen for many years and a former rival in love would clash with. However, her worries were unnecessary. Sima Luxian was stunned for a moment before he sat down beside Feng Zhixing and said, Why are you here? I heard that you're not doing well, so I came to comfort you. Feng Zhixing glanced at his white hair. You made yourself look like this, it really makes me happy. Master, that's not what you said on the way here. Sima Yue rolled her eyes in her heart. Seeing them like this, there shouldn't be any conflict. There were some things that couldn't be said in front of her. Father, Master, you haven't seen each other for so long, have a good chat. I'm going to meet great-grandfather and the rest. After that, she pulled Wu Lingyu and left. Master, you're back. Musi was waiting for her outside the door. His eyes flashed when he saw their hands clasped together. Musi, have you been cultivating these 2 years? I'll check your homework when I'm back. 2 years had passed and Musi was longer than before. Okay. Master, are you going to meet the clan leader and the rest? Musi asked. Yes. I've been away for so long, now that I'm back, I have to let them know. Sima Yue said. Go and do your things first, I'll look for you when I'm back. Yes. Sima Yue let Wu Lingyu rest while she went to look for Sima Zhiyuan and the rest. It wasn't that she wanted to guard against Wu Lingyu, but the two of them weren't married yet, and he wasn't considered a member of the clan, so she had to avoid him. Sima Zhiyuan and Sima Hishun knew that she was back and thought that she would come to see them, so they were waiting for her in the main hall. Other than old ancestor Sima Qing, almost everyone she knew was there. Greetings to great-grandfather, great-uncle, grandfather, grandmother. Sima Yue bowed to them. You've lost weight in 2 years. Huang Yingying said with heartache. Sima Yue touched her face and smiled. Where did I lose weight? I didn't change. It's just that I've lost weight. I heard that something happened at the mining area. We were worried to death. Huang Yingying said. News usually spread faster than people. Before Sima Yue returned, what happened in the ancient mining area had already spread across the entire continent. Although the situation in the mining area was quite tragic at that time, it wasn't that there weren't any survivors. Moreover, not everyone was there. As soon as people came out, the news naturally spread. When the Sima clan heard the news, they were scared out of their wits. They wanted to go to the mines to look for her, but Sima Qing scolded them and said that her life jade was fine. How could anything happen to her? Only then did they continue to wait at home. I'm back in one piece. Sima Yue said. Yue, what's going on? There are all sorts of rumors circulating outside. Did an ancient spirit beast really appear? Sima Zhiyuan asked. Yes. Sima Yue nodded and told them what had happened. Heavens, those rumors are actually true. Everyone exclaimed. Luckily you all left successfully. Is the continent going to be in chaos again? Sima Xiuqi frowned. I don't think it will happen anytime soon. Sima Yue said. Just like what Master and the others guessed, these spirit beasts will probably go and look for their ancient brethren. If the ancient spirit beasts appear, I'm afraid it will cause a storm of blood. Huang Yingying sighed. Looks like we have to increase our strength quickly. Sima Zhiyuan said. We have to adjust our finances later on. and by more tamed high-grade spirit beasts. In these 2 years, everyone has already understood the clan's inheritance and has become stronger after merging with their contracted beasts. If we can get a batch of good spirit beasts, we can increase our strength greatly. I agree. Let's save some of our expenses and buy more spirit beasts, Sima Hishun said. But we still have to discuss this with the clan elders. Tamed high-grade spirit beasts were not cheap. If they wanted to buy them in bulk, it would be a huge expense for any power. But the clan's beast tamer masters were not very strong. Otherwise, the cost of taming them would be much lower. That, I think we shouldn't buy spirit beasts for the time being. Sima Yue interrupted their conversation. Don't buy? Do you have any good ideas? Sima Hishun asked. Actually, I gained quite a lot from my trip to the ancient mines this time, Sima Yue said. If we can tame the ancient spirit beasts and make them our contracted beasts, it will definitely be better than ordinary spirit beasts. What did you say? The people in the house did not react in time. Sima Yue waved her hand, and a stone statue appeared in front of everyone. This is the ancient, or that hasn't been opened yet. The stone layer has already fallen off and we can see the spirit beast's appearance, so it should be an ancient spirit beast. As long as we can open it and tame it, we can use it as a contracted beast for our clansmen. They will definitely become stronger, Sima Yue said. But we don't know if we can tame it. Ordinary beast taming methods won't work, but the imperial beast art will definitely work. Sima Hishun felt as if his breathing had stopped as he looked at the stone statue with sparkling eyes. It's just that the imperial beast tamer masters have not fully understood it yet, Huang Yingying said. I have understood it, but I don't know if I can tame it. We'll only know after we try, Sima Yue said. Let's open this first. To be safe, let's go to the beast taming ground, Sima Zhiyuan said. Okay. The group of people came to the beast taming ground. There were many spirit beasts here. You guys can go back first, Sima Zhiyuan said to the beast tamer masters, and the people in charge of the beast taming ground. Yes, clan leader. Those people all left, and only the few of them were left in the beast taming ground. Let's go to the innermost room. Sima Yue followed them in. The spirit beasts in the open-air cages outside all rushed over when they saw them, but they were all stopped by the cages in the end. After passing through the cages, they came to a huge room. When they walked in, the space inside was even bigger. Once again, the space was enlarged. The space here is huge and there's a barrier. Even if we open it, we can guarantee that it won't escape, Sima Xiuqi said. Sima Yue also felt the thick barrier and nodded, saying, Then let's do it here. Actually, it was best to open it in the spirit pagoda. If anything happened, little spirit would be able to react immediately. But for the first one, they would only believe it when they saw it. The stone skin was already very thin and there was no need to use tools to open it. Sima Zhiyuan hit it with his spiritual energy, and it was neither light nor heavy. It just happened to break the stone skin and reveal the ancient spirit beast inside. Chapter 1536. It was a spirit beast that looked like a leopard, but its ears were not semicircular, but pointed. Its tail was only a short section, not a long one. Its eyes were tightly shut, and it did not wake up immediately after the ore came out. Sima Yue and the rest looked at it, but did not go near it immediately. The spirit beast suddenly opened its eyes and looked at them with murderous intent, attacking them without saying a word. Sima Zhiyuan and Sima Hishun went up and fought with that fellow. Sima Yue quickly ran further away, in case she was affected. This spirit beast was not particularly strong, at least under the combined attacks of Sima Zhiyuan and Sima Hishun. It was defeated in a short while. Sima Yue saw the severely injured spirit beast. Oh, it was not that it was not strong, but it was bullied by 2 old fellows, so it could only be defeated. She walked over. The spirit beast on the ground was already on its last breath, but its eyes were still filled with murderous intent, and it did not submit. Let me try. After confirming that the spirit beast had no strength to resist, she placed her hand on its forehead, activated the imperial beast art, and began to tame it. It had to be said that ancient spirit beast's mental strength was much stronger than ordinary spirit beasts. When she was taming it, she could clearly feel that it was very resistant, and it was difficult to tame it. But the benefits were better than taming ordinary spirit beasts. Sima Zhiyuan and the rest looked at her anxiously. Although they were sure that the spirit beast had no strength to fight back, they were still afraid that something unexpected would happen. As time passed, Sima Yoyue's face was covered in sweat, and her face became very pale. 2 days had passed. Sima Yoyue's situation was getting worse, and the worry on everyone's faces became more and more obvious. If it was not for the fact that she would be injured by external disturbances, they would have asked her to stop immediately. Finally, on the 3rd day, the spirit beast's eyes became dispirited, and it finally gave up completely. Sima Yue also fell back weakly. Yue, Huang Yingying quickly went up to support her, letting her lean into her arms. I'm fine, just a little weak, I'll be fine after eating some pills. Sima Yue said weakly. You're too reckless. If it's strenuous, just withdraw. How can you force yourself? Huang Yingying said with heartache. I was just thinking that I was about to succeed. Sima Yue smiled. Look, didn't I succeed in taming it in the end? In one spurt of energy, the next decline. Actually, this is also good. As long as it succeeds, it will be easier to tame the others. Sima Xiuqi said. Huang Yingying glared at him. No matter how good it is, it's not as important as Yue's health. Yes. Sima Yue ate the pill and rested in Huang Yingying's arms. Sima Zhiyuan, Sima Hishun and the others looked at the tamed spirit beast, thinking about how to deal with it. This spirit beast wasn't particularly powerful, but it was much more powerful than ordinary people's contracted beasts. Who was he going to give it to? Why don't we give it to Xinshu? Sima Xianshu was one of the more talented ones among the younger generation. If he could have an ancient spirit beast, it would be like adding wings to a tiger. But what should the others say? They were all disciples of the family. If they gave it to Sima Xianshu, the others might have other thoughts. Why don't we let the younger generation compete, and the winner will contract it? Great-grandfather, great-uncle, this spirit beast isn't very powerful. I feel that if we give it to Xinshu, it would be a waste of his talent. Sima Yue said. Just find someone from the family and contract it. Find someone? Did she know the importance of an ancient spirit beast to a spirit master? Especially for people like them who had fused spirit skills. An ancient spirit beast was a huge help. Good steel should be used on the blade. This ancient spirit beast definitely couldn't be contracted by anyone. Don't worry. Other than this, there are others. There will definitely be some powerful ones left for Xinshu and the others. Sima Yue said. You have more than one? Yes, didn't I say just now? I have many. Sima Yue said. Many? How many is that? Sima Zhiyuan and the others forgot to breathe as they stared at her blankly. Sima Yue estimated and said. I think there are a few thousand. The core disciples of the family should be able to get one. How many did you say? A few thousand? Were they hallucinating? How could there be a few thousand ancient spirit beasts? If a power could have a few, they would probably be overjoyed, right? Sima Yue saw that they looked as if they had seen a ghost and shrank into Huang Yingying's arms, saying, There are a few thousand. I think there are 2,000 to 3,000. She felt that there should be more than 2,000 to 3,000 in the spirit pagoda. But if she said more, she was afraid that they wouldn't be able to take it. If there weren't enough later, she would just tell them. Even so, they were still shocked. They wanted to say something, but no sound came out when they opened their mouths. Was this what she meant when she said to try her luck? No one would have a better harvest than her. After a while, they slowly digested the news and said, If there really are that many, we might be able to climb up the ranks immediately. That's right. However, taming them is also a big problem. Huang Yingying frowned. Sima Yoyue's mental strength was very strong. This was something everyone knew. However, she had spent so much effort to tame them. Wouldn't it be even harder if she met a stronger one? Furthermore, they could only be tamed with the Imperial Beast Art. There weren't many beast tamers who knew about the Imperial Beast Art. I think we can find a few more beast tamers in the family to learn the Imperial Beast Art. We just have to make them swear to be loyal to the family forever and not spread this news. Sima Yue said. Now that things have come to this, We can only do this. Sima Hishun sighed helplessly. This was the first time they felt that they had so many treasures that they were powerless. Great-grandfather, Ling Yu and I can tame some. The rest will depend on you guys. Sima Yue said and waved her hand. 10 ancient spirit beasts appeared in front of them. Let's try using these first. If they can't do it, I will have to spend more time to do it myself. Okay. Although Sima Ji Yuan and the others were curious about what she was going to do, they didn't force her to say anything since she didn't want to. I'll go back first. I will go into closed-door cultivation later on. You guys have to pay more attention to what's going on outside. Sima Yue said and went back to her courtyard. Wu Lingyu saw her return with a pale face and frowned unhappily. What did you do to hurt yourself again? He led her back to the house and carried her to the bed. He didn't let her lie down and just hugged her in his arms. His aura was a little cold. Chapter 1537. Sima Yue turned to her side and found a comfortable position in his arms. I'm fine, just a little tired. Wu Lingyu placed a hand on her forehead. Sima Yue felt a warm energy enter her mind, and her tiredness disappeared. You're better than pills. Sima Yue felt comfortable and snuggled into his embrace. If you do this again, I won't care about you anymore, Wu Lingyu said with a dark face. You won't abandon me. Sima Yue poked his chin and asked, when are you going back? If the people from the Sage Pavilion did not come out, as a survivor, he had to go back and give them an explanation. If they were still alive, they should have already returned. He had to go back and take a look. Although she didn't want him to leave, it couldn't be delayed. I'll go back once I'm sure you're okay, Wu Lingyu said. I'm fine. It's just that the taming this time was a little difficult. But in the end, it still couldn't defeat me. Sima Yue said. I realized that taming ancient spirit beasts gives me more power. If I can tame all of them, I might be able to level up. Then you don't have to do anything for the next few years, Wu Lingyu said. That's true. Sima Yue was a little listless. But I still have to tame those spirit beasts as soon as possible to increase the strength of my family. I knew you would take responsibility for this matter. Wu Lingyu pinched her face. She was a little unhappy that she did this. It's beneficial to me anyway, Sima Yue explained. I can obtain the spiritual energy from the ancient times and increase my mental strength, so the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. You can build your strength slowly. If you hurt your foundation, it will affect your future progress, Wu Lingyu warned. I know, so although I want to, I don't really intend to take on all of this. Sima Yue went along with his words. I'll ask my great-grandfather to train more beast tamers and try to solve this problem within 2 years. 2 years. He definitely couldn't stay for that long, but he still tried his best to help her relieve some of her pressure. When you've rested enough, we'll go to the spirit pagoda and tame those spirit beasts together. Really? Sima Yue immediately stood up and knelt beside the bed. She wrapped her arms around his neck and gave him a quick kiss on the cheek. I knew you were the best. He was so strong, and his understanding of the imperial beast art was unparalleled. With his help, this would be a piece of cake. Wu Lingyu clasped her head and ruthlessly plundered her beautiful lips. Reward. He licked his lips. Sima Yue's lips were red and swollen after being bitten by him. How can you be like this? She pouted her red lips and glared at him. If you tame one in the future, I'll give you a reward. Wu Lingyu ignored her small protest. Pervert. Sima Yue stretched out her hand to poke him, but he grabbed her arm. With a slight tug, she fell back into his embrace. You've already called me a pervert. If I don't act like a pervert, how can I face you? Wu Lingyu leaned over and first lingered on her lips for a while, then moved down to the side of her face and bit her earlobe. This was the first time he kissed a place other than her lips. That warm breath lingered around her ear, causing her entire body to tremble. It was as if something was messing around in her body and wanted to burst out. Her arms around Wu Lingyu's neck unconsciously tightened, causing their bodies to be even closer. Every cell in Wu Lingyu's body was excited by her reaction. It was as if his body had been imprisoned, and he wanted to be released. Sima Yue felt something pressing against her, and her face turned even redder. Don't. She protested in a small voice, but when that soft voice fell into his ears, it sounded more like an invitation. At this moment, he wished that he had already married her and could completely possess her beauty, instead of being unable to get what he wanted. He let go of her, and her face was already as red as a cooked shrimp. That shy look made his body tremble uncontrollably. He buried his head in her neck and said in a muffled voice, "Why don't we get married earlier?" Sima Yue was stunned. Get married earlier? Although she also wanted to marry him, she had never thought of getting married before finding her mother. Wu Lingyu felt the change in her and said, "Forget it, I was just casually saying it. You rest first, I'll leave for a while." He put her on the bed. "Where are you going?" Sima Yue held his hand, afraid that he would be angry, and said, I just feel that my mother is still here. I can't imagine her suffering while I get married." Wu Lingyu patted her hand and said, "I'm just going out for a walk and arrange some things on the way. If I stay here any longer, I'm afraid I won't be able to control myself." "You're not angry?" "No." Wu Lingyu sat back and kissed her forehead. "I understand how you feel, and I respect your thoughts. So what I can do now is to speed up the process in the ghost realm and rescue your mother as soon as possible. When I find your mother, I'll ask for your hand in marriage, or marry into her family." Uft. Sima Yue saw him like that and laughed, saying, "Then you can go." Her smiling eyes reflected his awkwardness. He pinched her nose and got up to leave. Sima Yue looked at his back, and the smile on her lips grew wider. Thinking of her reaction just now, she grabbed the blanket and covered her head. After a while, 2 giggles came out from under the blanket. Wu Lingyu left her courtyard and found a secluded place to contact his people. "Master, how's the situation at the Sage Pavilion?" Wu Lingyu asked. "None of the people we sent to the ancient mines have returned. The pavilion master and the rest are throwing a tantrum. What a bunch of trash. None of them survived." Wu Lingyu snorted. "Send the news back. Say that I'm trapped in the ancient mines." "Yes, master." After that, he contacted the other people and asked them to arrange things in the ghost realm. He had to find Yukoluo as soon as possible. Otherwise, it would be too difficult for him to hold it in. Although his body had calmed down, his heart was still rippling. After waiting for a while, he went back. At this moment, Sima Qing was invited to the beast taming ground and saw the stone statues, as well as the ancient spirit beasts lying on the ground listlessly. "These were brought back by Yue?" Sima Qing asked. "Yes. Yue said that she has 1 or 2,000 of them. These are just for us to practice on." Sima Zhiyuan was very obedient in front of Sima Qing. Thinking that these were brought back by his granddaughter, his face broke into a smile. Chapter 1538. Sima Qing's face was also filled with uncontrollable happiness, but at the same time, he felt a little sad. They had been working hard to develop the family's strength for so many years, putting in so much effort, but there were still no obvious results. Sima Yue had only returned for 2 years, but she had already brought about such drastic changes to the family. The family's strength was getting stronger day by day, and the revival was right in front of them. With such a comparison, they had wasted all these years. "Old ancestor, we don't have to be sad. This can only mean that our luck is not enough, and is not enough to develop the Sima family. But luck is determined by the heavens, we don't have to worry about this." Sima Hishun said. "No matter whose credit it is, it's good that the family is developing." Sima Zhiyuan said with a smile. He was a little sad at first, but after thinking about it, Yue was his great-granddaughter. What was the difference if she brought the family back to glory? Let's suppress this news first. If others find out, it will lead to the destruction of the family. Sigh, this little fellow came back with all kinds of treasures. Sima Qing sighed. Then we won't let the clansmen contract this one for now. Let's wait until we tame a few more. If it's like this little fellow said, and this isn't considered powerful, then we'll find clansmen with average talent to contract. Yes. After that, the family's beast tamers were all called to the beast taming ground. That ancient spirit beast had long been locked up somewhere else. The Sima family had more than 50 beast tamers, which was considered quite a lot. A normal power would have around 30 to 40. Among them, 5 or 6 had already sworn an oath, obtained the Imperial Beast Art, and had some small achievements. Clan leader, why did you call all of us here? Someone asked. Yes. Sima Zhiyuan looked at them and said, only half of you are disciples of the family, the rest were recruited from outside. Although this is the case, we have never treated you as outsiders. We have always been grateful to the clan leader for his kindness. A few people said. Sima Zhiyuan nodded and said, now there is a huge opportunity in front of you, waiting for you to make a decision. What? Because this is too important. I need all of you to swear that you will never spread this out, and will never do anything to betray the Sima family. You will always be loyal to the Sima family. Sima Zhiyuan said, of course you're free to do so. You can choose not to swear, but if that's the case, we can't continue to keep you in the clan. However, we can recommend you to other families or forces. Patriarch, we are willing to swear. The members of the Sima family were the first to express their stance. They were originally members of the family, so even if they swore an oath, it wouldn't change anything. Those who were not from the Sima family were a little hesitant. At most, they were considered guests, not members of the Sima family. However, once they took the oath, they would be considered as members of the Sima family. Although the Sima family had treated them well all these years, it was not enough to tie them up here. Moreover, he didn't know if the opportunity he was talking about was a real opportunity. Thus, after thinking for a while, 4 beast tamers stood out and expressed their willingness to leave. 2 of them chose to leave on their own, while the other 2 chose to let the Sima family recommend them. These 4 beast tamers were taken away, and when the Sima family's Imperial Beast Art was known to the world many years later, they would regret it so much that their intestines would turn green, and they would slap themselves a few times. Why didn't they choose to believe in the Sima family back then? Since you all chose to stay and are loyal to the Sima family, then the Sima family will not disappoint you. You will definitely be happy with your decision in a while. Sima Zhiyuan said. One by one, even the beast tamers from the Sima family swore that they would never do anything to harm the Sima family in the future, and would never spread this news, and would always be loyal to the Sima family. After all of them swore their oaths, Sima Zhiyuan asked, as beast tamers, do you know what the most powerful Imperial Beast Art is? Of course we do. There are all kinds of Imperial Beast Arts circulating now, but the most powerful Imperial Beast Art is naturally the long-lost Imperial Beast Art. An older beast tamer replied. Then do you know what advantages this Imperial Beast Art has compared to other Imperial Beast Arts? Sima Zhiyuan asked again. What advantages? Everyone was stunned. Clan leader, we have never seen the Imperial Beast Art before. It should be said that no one in this world has come into contact with it, and we only know that the Imperial Beast Art is in ancient books. But the ancient books did not record its advantages. As beast tamers, you need to spend a lot of time and energy training your mental strength, and often have no time to cultivate your spirit energy. So your personal strength is much lower than the average spirit master. Sima Zhiyuan said. Clan leader, this is a weakness that every profession has. Someone explained, thinking that he was looking down on them for being weak. I am not looking down on you. Sima Zhiyuan waved his hand, stopping them from speaking, saying, have you thought about it? If there is a day when you can obtain spirit energy while taming spirit beasts, what would that be like? How is that possible? The beast tamers cried out one after another. If there was such a technique, how could their beast tamers be so weak? What if it is possible? Sima Zhiyuan asked. Clan leader, are you saying that the Imperial Beast Art has such an effect? Someone asked. If it is the Imperial Beast Art, then it is really possible. But the Imperial Beast Art has been lost for hundreds of thousands of years. It is indeed the Imperial Beast Art, Sima Zhiyuan said. Using the Imperial Beast Art to tame spirit beasts, not only can you obtain spirit energy, when a tamed spirit beast contracts with a human, both parties can advance in rank. What? The beast tamers were even more shocked. They could advance in rank through contracts. As expected of the Imperial Beast Art. Someone sighed. Clan leader, you mentioned the Imperial Beast Art. Is it because you know where it is? Sima Zhiyuan took out a few stone rubbing and handed it to every beast tamer, saying, "Check it with your divine senses." Some of them had already thought of it, but when they saw the imperial beast art personally, they were still shocked beyond words. "Clan leader, this is really..." Their hands holding the stone rubbing were trembling. "That's right. This is the imperial beast art." Sima Zhiyuan saw that they were so excited and his heart finally calmed down. Humph. He knew that these people would be even more shocked than he was back then. "This is for us to study." "Of course. Otherwise why would I make you swear an oath just now?" Sima Zhiyuan said. "For safety reasons you can only study here and are not allowed to bring the stone rubbing out. We have already prepared rooms for you. Do you have any objections?" Chapter 1539. Objection? What objections could they have? As long as they could learn the imperial beast art, even if they were imprisoned here, they were willing to do anything. He really didn't expect that the opportunity the family head was talking about was actually this. If those beast tamers who left knew about this, would they still be so determined to leave? "We will learn this art of taming beast as soon as possible and contribute to the revival of our family." The beast tamers expressed their opinions one after another. "I believe that with you guys, the Sima family will definitely be able to develop even faster." Sima Zhiyuan said. "Thank you for your trust, Patriarch." "Oh right, there's something different about the imperial beast art. Do you know about it?" Sima Zhiyuan asked. "We don't know. The imperial beast art can also tame ancient spirit beasts." Sima Zhiyuan said. "Now that an ancient spiritual beast has appeared, if I can tame one, my life would not have been in vain." They had also heard about the ancient mining area and had gathered together to discuss it before. However, at that time, they could only dream about it. After all, without a good beast taming technique, how could they dare to tame an ancient spirit beast? Who would have thought that in just a few days, everything would become possible? "Then you guys have to work even harder. The ancient spirit beasts have already been prepared for you guys. We're just waiting for you guys to master this," Sima Zhiyuan said. "Patriarch, is what you said true?" Sima Zhiyuan stood up and said, "Come with me." He opened the door to a secret room and led the beast tamers inside. When the beast tamers entered, the first thing they saw was a cage in the middle of the room. A tamed spirit beast was lying on the ground. That aura was that of an ancient spiritual beast. "Family head, is this an ancient spiritual beast? Who tamed it?" "Yue." "Heavens, it's actually little miss? She's still so young." The tamers did not expect Sima Yue. She was still so young. She was the one who brought back the imperial beast art. Sima Zhiyuan raised his chin proudly. Those were also brought back by her. Everyone looked in the direction of his hand. Hidden in the darkness were dozens of stone statues. This ancient spiritual beast came from the stone statue. "We will reduce the mental strength of the ancient spirit beasts to the lowest level and leave the rest to you guys," Sima Zhiyuan said. "So, you guys have to learn the imperial beast art as soon as possible." "Patriarch, I want to go into seclusion to study." "Me too." "Patriarch, we don't have any spirit beasts to tame right now. Why don't we let everyone go into seclusion to learn?" "Patriarch, please agree." Sima Zhiyuan saw that they were so enthusiastic. How could he not agree? He said, "Since that's the case, then you guys should go into seclusion. Learn the art of taming beast first, and there will be cultivation methods for you to increase your spiritual power later on. Yoyue's hint is at the back of the art of taming beast. With this, I believe you'll be able to master it very quickly." When he heard that the patriarch even had annotations and cultivation techniques that could increase one's mental strength, he became even more enthusiastic. Sima Zhiyuan brought them out, and each of them chose a house to enter into closed-door cultivation. It was only later that they realized that once they entered the house, the stone rubbing could not be taken out. Every time they went out, they could only leave the stone rubbing in the house. Those who studied the art of taming beast were rather depressed. Without Sima Yoyue's annotations, they took many detours. They had seen this annotation before. If it had been there from the start, they wouldn't have needed 2 years. 2 months would have been enough. Sima Ji left the beast taming ground. The more he thought about it, the happier he became. He couldn't help but hum a little tune. Sima Yue didn't know about the beast taming ground, but she could roughly guess what her great-grandfather would do. If giving the art of taming beasts to these people could make the family stronger, it would be right for the family. Because she was a little tired, after Wu Lingyu left, she fell into a deep sleep. When she woke up, she heard Siyu teasing Musi and Musi begging for mercy. She got up and went out. She saw Siyu pulling Musi's ear. She leaned against the door and said, "Siyu, don't bully my disciple." Siyu let go of Musi and snorted. "If this fellow doesn't want me to look for you, he should be taught a good lesson." "I'm resting." "Of course, Musi won't let you in." Sima Yue said, "Come in." "I'm not going in. Let's go to the kitchen. You said you would cook for me." Siyu said. Sima Yue remembered that she said she would cook for her for a month. She turned and walked to the kitchen. Siyu giggled and followed her in. "I didn't have time to ask you before. How did you guys end up in the Sima family? I thought you guys went back to Ghost City or somewhere else to travel." Sima Yue chatted with Siyu while cooking. "That day you guys snuck away. I wanted to go in to look for you, but I was stopped by second brother and third brother. They said that I might not be able to find you even if I went in. But I was angry. Then third brother said that we should wait for you at your house. You would come back anyway." Siyu continued. "Then we played around on the way back. We just arrived not long before you came back. My grandfather and the rest let you stay and wait for me?" Musi recognized me the moment he saw me. He knew that we were friends. "Your family members were very friendly to us." Siyu said. "Then you're planning to stay here forever? Not going out for a walk?" Sima Yue placed the sashimi and dipping sauce in front of her. She immediately picked up her chopsticks and started eating. "We definitely have to go. But we have to eat a month's worth of good food first." Siyu continued. "Your great-grandfather said that since you call my father godfather, then I'm also his great-granddaughter. The Sima family is my home. I can come back anytime." "Does my great-grandfather know your identity?" He didn't say it clearly, but he should be able to guess. After all, Musi came from our family. "That's true." Sima Yue continued to make other dishes for her. "Will you be at home these days? If you want to go anywhere, I'll follow you." "I'll be at home. I won't go anywhere. I'll rest and recuperate." She still had so many things to do. The magical medicine was not ripe yet. She would just stay at home and raise her strength. "That." Siyu put down her chopsticks. "Do you know where Third Mo is?" Sima Yue's hand paused. She shook her head and said, "Shameless Third's whereabouts are always unpredictable. I haven't seen him since I came back from Ghost City." "I see." Siyu sounded a little disappointed. "Why are you looking for him?" "Nothing, I'm just asking." Siyu picked up her chopsticks again and started eating. Sima Yue looked at her lowered head and sighed helplessly. Siyu probably came out this time for Third Mo. However, Yue did not think that Third Mo was someone who would be moved by a girl. Or rather, he already had someone in his heart and could not fit anyone else. Siyu would probably be disappointed. Chapter 1540. Sima Yue really wanted to persuade her not to put her thoughts on Third Mo, but Siyu didn't say that she liked him, so it wasn't good for her to say it. After Siyu finished eating, Sima Yue sent her out and went to look for Sima Lu Xian. "Father, where is Master?" Sima Yue asked when she saw him reading alone in the room. "He went back." Sima Lu Xian replied without looking up. "He went back? Why did he go back?" Sima Yue cried out in surprise. She left angrily. Sima Lu Xian raised his head. She said that she couldn't talk to me, so she left angrily. "Father." Sima Yue's lips twitched. Why did she see a smug look in her father's eyes? Seriously, why didn't you tell me you were leaving? Now that she thought about it, she shouldn't have let them be alone. Humph, this fellow took advantage of my absence to find you and even abducted you to be his disciple. It's already good that I didn't settle the score with him. Sima Lu Xian saw his daughter's expression change, so he changed his tone. Don't worry about him. He used to be angered and left here, but he's fine now. But it's not polite, Sima Yue said. What's there to be polite about? He's used to it. Sima Luxian said lightly. Sima Yue pursed her lips. What a good excuse. What do you plan to do next? Sima Luxian obviously did not intend to dwell on Feng Zhixing's matter, and changed the topic. Sima Yue told him about her harvest and her plan to tame the spirit beasts. She then said that she wanted to improve her strength. Sima Luxian nodded and said, "This is possible. You're still young, so you should focus your energy on cultivation. You don't have to worry about the family's affairs. What you've brought them is enough for them to revitalize their family." Master, 5 years. Give me another 5 years, and I will definitely help you regain your strength. Sima Yue grabbed his hand. You should know that in my eyes, your safety is more important than anything else. Sima Luxian didn't want her to take risks for him. Father never expected you to be outstanding. I just want you to be safe. Father, don't worry. I definitely won't let anything happen to me. I haven't seen Mother yet. How could I do something stupid on impulse? Sima Yue said, I only did it because I was confident. When Father recovers his strength, we'll go find Mother and reunite with her. Speaking of looking for Yu Kuluo, Sima Luxian's eyes flashed with helplessness and pain. How was he going to find her in this state? Sima Yue didn't want to say much either. When the time came and she healed his body, his confidence would naturally return. Father, you can continue reading. I'll go back first. She had to deal with the matter of the ancient spirit beasts as soon as possible. Go. Don't tire yourself out. I know. When she returned to her room, Wu Lingyu had already returned. When she saw him, she recalled the scene of the gunfire in the room. Her face was burning hot again. Let's go to the spirit pagoda first. She set up a spirit barrier and brought him in. Yu, why did you come in? Are you going to open the stones? Yu, you finally came in. Little Spirit kept saying that if you didn't come in, those spirit beasts would jump in by themselves. Isn't that so? Quickly open 2 stones for us to see. With the beasts together, Sima Yue's thoughts were quickly diluted. Those spirit beasts are coming out? Yes, if it wasn't for Little Spirit suppressing them in the spirit pagoda, I'm afraid they would have come out long ago. Let's go take a look. She and Wu Lingyu came to the place where the stone statues were piled up. Looking from afar, it was full of stones. If the people outside knew that there were so many ancient spirit beasts here, I don't know what kind of turmoil it would cause. It will come out sooner or later. Sima Yue laughed twice. These spirit beasts were mostly taken out to be contracted by the members of the Sima family. Since they were contracted beasts, they would definitely appear in front of the world in the future. However, at that time, the Sima family would no longer be a small family that could be bullied by anyone. Do you want to start? Little Spirit appeared in front of her and asked. Choose a suitable place. Sima Yue said. This place was not far from their living area. If the ancient spirit beasts were to come out and destroy this place, then she wouldn't even have a place to cry. Little Spirit naturally understood what she meant by choosing a suitable place. With a thought, they had already appeared in a desolate mountain. Sima Yue looked at the vast and boundless mountain and couldn't help but sigh. Little Spirit, the person who created you, was it really just one person? If it was just an armament master, how could he create such a divine weapon? Little Spirit ignored her and moved a few stone statues over, saying, I don't care about the rest. Sima Yue looked at the few stone statues and raised her head to look at Wu Lingyu, asking, which one do you think should be opened? Wu Lingyu didn't expect her to ask him. He casually pointed to one and said, You know that I don't know how to look at ores. That one is fine. Open this one first. Sima Yue followed his finger and looked. This fellow was casually pointing to the smallest piece. That ore was only the size of a baby's head. Although it was small, it had all the vital organs and looked somewhat like a spirit beast. She walked over and picked up the stone statue, saying, Then let's open this one. This small stone statue still couldn't see the shape inside, which meant that the stone skin was still relatively thick. She took out her tools and peeled off the stone skin layer by layer. Very quickly, the outer stone skin was peeled off by her, and only the last layer was left. Sima Yue looked at the last layer and blinked her eyes. She said uncertainly, Lingyu, why do I feel that this fellow is a little similar to Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior? With only the last layer of stone skin left, the spirit beast inside could be roughly seen. Wu Lingyu looked at the small stone statue in her hand, and also felt that it was a little similar to Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior. Could this also be a human-faced ape? He squatted beside Sima Yue and stretched out his hand to poke at the stone statue. Sima Yue didn't dare to make the final cut. If it really was a human-faced ape, how would she deal with it? Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior was so powerful. If he knew that one of his clansmen had fallen into the hands of a human, she didn't know if he would directly step on her and turn her into a biscuit. However, they were already at the last step. Could it be that they were going to give up just like that? And it was so small, it looked so cute. If you want to open it, then open it. Wu Lingyu's voice was very soft, but it gave her endless strength. It made her understand that no matter what happened, he would settle it for her. Sima Yue let out a long sigh. The knife in her hand peeled off the last layer of stone skin, revealing the small human-faced ape inside. Chapter 1541. Sima Yue looked at the palm-sized human-faced ape and smiled bitterly. His luck was really terrible. That little guy seemed to have been sealed as soon as it was born. Its entire body was still soft. It laid in Sima Yue's hands with its eyes closed. It was quiet and peaceful, different from Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior, who was filled with killing intent. The little guy slowly opened his eyes and saw Sima Yue's delicate face. Seeing her frown, the little fellow actually opened his mouth and smiled at her. When it smiled, Sima Yue's thoughts froze. Mother! Not only did the little girl laugh, but she also said something that almost made Sima Yue faint. Mother, mother? How did she look like a human-faced ape? Not only did her face darken, but Wu Lingyu's face also darkened. This little guy actually called her mother? Only his son could call her mother. Seeing that this little fellow was not pleasing to the eye, he would not be soft-hearted. He grabbed its little paw and casually threw it away. Sima Yue did not expect Wu Lingyu to suddenly move. She instinctively reached out to grab him, but she could not catch up with his speed. She watched as the little guy disappeared in front of her eyes. Little Spirit. Sima Yue hurriedly called out. With Little Spirit around, the little guy would not lose his life. She turned around and glared at him. What are you doing? It's still so small. Only our children can call you mother. Wu Lingyu proudly raised her small chin. PFFF. Sima Yue laughed out loud and stretched out her hand to poke his head. That's just a spirit beast. Why are you bickering with it? Not even spirit beasts. I thought he was similar to Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior, and would be similar to him. Who knew that he would look so cute and not have any evil aura? Sima Yue didn't want to argue with him about this, and changed the topic to the little guy. Don't be fooled by its appearance. Wu Lingyu snorted. Ha! Sima Yue did not understand what he meant. Mother, mother. The little guy's voice came from afar. It was very fast, like a gust of wind. In the blink of an eye, it was in front of them. The moment before it entered Sima Yue, Wu Lingyu quickly caught it. Mother, mother. The little guy was in Wu Lingyu's hands and could not struggle, and looked at her with tearful eyes. I am not your mother. Mother. Sima Yue yelled. Mother, Yue said. Mother's smell. Yue's mother's mother, Wu Lingyu said. However, its words made Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu frown. Sima Yue saw its tears and her heart softened. She took it from Wu Lingyu's hands and stroked its back. She comforted it. What smell are you talking about? Mother's smell. Mother's smell is mother. Yue slowly calmed down under her comforting words. It nestled in her arms and seemed to be upset that she did not recognize it. Wu Lingyu and Sima Yue both frowned. Spirit beasts had a very sensitive sense of smell. Since it said that it smelled the same, it must be right. However, this little guy was born from an or hundreds of millions of years ago. How could Sima Yue be the person it was talking about? Do you have a name? She did not rush to deny it. Yes, mother named me. Mother has forgotten Xiaoxi's name. Yue was very unhappy. You're saying that your mother and I smell the same? Sima Yue asked again. Mother, you are mother. Yue panicked and grabbed her finger. Last time mother also said that you weren't mother. This time, You're saying that mother doesn't like Xiaoxi and doesn't want me anymore? As he said that, his tears fell again. Sima Yue looked at its tearful accusation, and her heart softened again. Seeing him like this, I reckon that there used to be someone who looked like me. Their aura is also similar, so. She looked at Yue and felt helpless in her heart. From Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior's reaction that day, this might be the truth. Wu Lingyu said, "Mother, where is father?" Xiaoxi heard Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior's name and raised his head to ask. Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior is your father? Sima Yue pursed her lips, hoping that she would hear a negative answer. However, Yue did not see her expectant gaze. It nodded and said excitedly, that's right, that's right. Mother, have you seen father?" "I've seen him." Sima Yue was a little speechless. If Xiaoxi was Supreme Fifth Spirit Senior's child, and he found out that she had captured Xiaoxi, wouldn't he turn the Sima family upside down? "Mother, where is father?" Yue missed its father very much. In a place very far away. Sima Yue patted its little head. "Are you looking for your father? I'll send you over, okay?" Yue immediately sensed her intentions and looked at her vigilantly, saying, "Mother, are you thinking of abandoning me again?" Sima Yue saw the pain in its eyes, as if it had been abandoned. She felt sorry for it, and her gaze softened. "Your father isn't here. Don't you want to see father? You can see him if I send you over. Then I won't be able to see mother." Yue carefully looked at her. Sima Yue nodded. "I don't want father anymore. I want to follow mother. You can't leave like that again." Yue grabbed onto her fingers and didn't let go. "But, I still have things to do," Sima Yue said. "Your father will be very worried if he doesn't see you." "Mother, are you going to raise your cultivation?" Yue looked at her. "It's so strange. Mother, why are you so weak now? Even Xiaoxi can defeat you." Sima Yue pursed her lips. Why did everyone despise her for being weak? "Xiaoxi, do you really want to stay by my side? Although we don't know where your father is, if we think of a way, we can still find him." She still wanted to persuade it. Who knew that Yue would sit on her palm and swish its little tail, saying, "Father is so powerful, he doesn't need me to follow him anymore. I'll stay by mother's side and can protect mother. I won't let you be harmed by evil people." Yue's eyes turned red when it said this. Sima Yue connected the dots and guessed that the girl who looked like her must have been mistaken for mother by Yue. She even gave it the name Xiaoxi. However, she left it behind and was killed in the end. Yue was very cute and Sima Yue felt a sense of familiarity towards it. However, leaving it by her side was a huge risk. "If your father knows that you're here with me, I don't know if he'll kill me." "Mother, don't worry. Father will never kill you." Yue didn't really understand what Sima Yue meant, but it knew how father felt about mother. You're tuning in to the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.